Oh my gosh. Oh my goodness. Here we are in the ASL finals, guys. Welcome. Look at that crowd right now, Xun. It's looking beautiful today. Best versus Soulkey. I cannot wait to get into this.
Man, I couldn't even sleep last night, guys. I had like maybe 2 hours total. I'm still like pretty fatigued and trying to wake up as best I can. I am so stoked for this finals match. It's been a long time coming since someone like Best was able to get through to a finals in any major tournament. We're talking all the way back in 2008, OSL MSL days. That was the last time he was able to get a silver medal. And now he has another chance here today to get that silver at the very least, maybe even that gold against Soulkey. He got dispatched by July Zerg 3-0 all those years ago. Maybe he can change history today and finally get that coveted win he's long deserved and long been looking for.
6 years since we've had an ASL finalist or an ASL winner that was a Protoss player. Either way, though, tonight is going to be history in the making. If Best wins, it's going to be his first ever ASL victory. And if Soulkey wins, it'll be the first ever fourth straight ASL victory. He'll be the first player to get that quad ASL victory in a row.
Yeah. It's kind of crazy when you think about it. Like, if Soulkey wins here today, this will be a seventh ASL season, to reiterate, where you will not have a Protoss champion. So if Best can somehow do it today, everyone's going to go nuts because it's been a long time coming. It would be nice to see maybe Soulkey with that 4P title so we can start actually calling him a bonjour. But honestly, I'm going to be rooting for Best, guys.
Yeah, it would be amazing to have a Protoss victor. It would be awesome to welcome in a new ASL champion as well. These guys have a long history of going back and forth. In preparation for this, I watched quite a few matches between them. Especially the most recent matches in KZM in 2024 Season 5. These guys went back and forth. One win for Soulkey and one win for Best. It was a very interesting match. These guys have been going to be researching, going back through all of their previous games. They're going to be watching each other. In fact, both these guys have some really excellent material to look to figure out how to play against each other. Soulkey versus Snow. Best going to be going through that series with a fine-tooth comb. Best is going to be checking that out. And, we got Best versus Queen earlier on in the round of 8. Soulkey going to be looking through that as well. So much good information there. Both those series went the distance and were incredibly tight, so nothing was held back. These guys are going to be doing lots of research like that on each other and figuring out ways to pull each other apart.
Honestly, it was like from that film 300, where even though eventually they died in the end, like King Leonidas throws the spear, and that was basically what Snow was doing. He was throwing the spear, and he caught Xerxes, in this case Soulkey's cheek, and showed the world he could bleed. And maybe that will give enough hope here for Best to be like, hang on a minute, there's a way of making this work. This guy's not as invincible as he seems.
I thought that Snow was actually going to win that series, if I'm being honest, and that series was so close. Snow is just such a god right now. He's so incredibly skilled. I'm not sure if Best can one-up Snow in that regard and actually take out Soulkey here. That would be so impressive, though. It would really be a great indicator of his growth, though, in the past couple of seasons. He has been constantly improving, constantly working on his game and just becoming better and better, more and more well-rounded. And this is one of his weaker matchups, but he has been showing that he is absolutely capable of taking on the best players in the world.
Well, I'm getting chills saying there's more people thinking Best is actually going to be taking this down. Out of all these pro gamers, there's 8 that seem to think that Best can do it, and only 6 that think that there's going to be a Soulkey victory. That's a little bit strange. That's the first time we've seen doubt in the scene about Soulkey's chances, at least from the pro scene. It does seem like the actual wider community, those at home, do still think this is a 68% chance of being a Soulkey victory here. But the pros are starting to doubt. They're saying, hang on a minute, maybe Best can do this.
This must be the crowd here. 32% of the crowd thinking that Best is going to win. I think that sounds a little bit more realistic. What do you think, Xun?
Yeah, I'd put it somewhere in the region of 30 to 40% saying, but I do think it's closer to that 40% mark than it's ever been in the history of this scene for a long, long time. I said it before at the start of this season when we first started casting. This is Best tournament potentially. This, if he is going to win, this is the one he should.
He's had an incredible run so far. We've enjoyed every minute of this season, guys. This is our first ever live cast of the entirety of an ASL season, and I couldn't have asked for a better season. It's been so much fun. I really hope we're going to see an awesome back and forth between these two, and I think there's almost no doubt that's going to occur here today, unless somebody really tilts or completely gets overwhelmed by the moment. I think we're going to have a really good back and forth.
Yeah, I just want to see Best lock in and not get psyched out at all during any phase. And the snow gave him confidence that that's a possibility, that no matter what happens, you can still take it to game 7 against this guy. And Soulkey actually seemed the one to be struggling with his mental in that series. I hope that Best can get under his skin again here today. And I think there definitely will be a lot more nerves in our reigning champion Soulkey than usual going into this match. I think that after that series against Snow, going the distance and coming that close, he's going to be a little bit scared of Best.
You do? You think so? I don't know. Soulkey,
so.
he was a little tilted during that best of 7 with Snow, showing a bit more of his underbelly there than we've ever seen before. Like previous seasons, right? Last season, he absolutely dominated Snow, made it look easy. This season, it was much, much harder. Seems like the Protoss players are leveling up a little bit. It's about time for a Protoss champion, guys.
I think it's about time, saying if any was a time, this is it. And I think this is amazing if we can somehow dub Best the champion here today. I'd be so stoked for him. I'm sure there's lots of guys in the chat and the comments below. We're currently casting this live on superlive.com/SCTVE. And if you guys missed out, well, that's just unfortunate for you. We still have that prize giveaway as well. So 50 gems per entry or a gifted sub gets you a chance at getting one of the 2 ASL official jackets like you see these 2 pro gamers wear right now.
Some excellent, excellent prizes, and this is the very last day of that giveaway. So at the time this stream ends, it will be over. No more entries will be accepted. So guys, get in your final entries for those jackets. I'm kind of curious, where are they actually playing right now? Is this like a school gymnasium, a concert hall? I'm not sure exactly what this is.
Yeah, I'm not sure as well. It doesn't actually, it's not a place they've used before, I don't think. They might have moved to a totally new venue just to get a few more people in the crowd. Maybe there was a little bit more hype this season. I did hear from people that were having a very hard time, the foreigners that is, getting tickets to these events. They do seem to be more sought after this season.
It looks something like a warehouse, but seems like they've been able to shove a huge amount of people in there. Still a lot of open seats. I'm sure those are going to fill up soon as people get in here. It is a kind of a strange time on the weekend that we're playing the ASL finals, 2 p.m. Korean Standard Time. But hopefully it's going to be good for you guys out there. I'm seeing some people saying it's 1 in the morning, 2 in the morning, but we're glad to see you guys here in the chat. Thank you so much for watching our live cast, and everybody out there on YouTube, shout out to you as well.
Yeah, big shout out to every single one of you. We really do appreciate all the love and support you guys have been showing us, especially over the course of this event. It's been a real treat and a pleasure, honestly, an honor to bring you guys the ASL in its entirety as well, from start to finish. And who better to be by my side in the cast than saying it's been a blast, man.
It's been so much fun, dude. And guys, we also cast the KCM, which is what I was talking about earlier. It's a bit of a different tournament. It pits the 3 races against each other, and there's no mirror matchups. And recently, Best and Soulkey have gone at it in Season 5 of 2024. We saw some pretty hotly contested matchups between these two. It's actually both times Best dominating in KCM, and then Soulkey being brought out to try and stop him. One time he was able to shut him down, one time he was not able to. And one of the big factors there was Mutalisk sniping Templar. Soulkey is so good at getting connections on early Corsairs, taking them out, and then overwhelming the game by just killing off the Templar and running them down with Hydras.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Saying it does seem to go that way between these two players, at least recently. Park Sang-hyung here, the commentator, kind of going a little bit hype as well. He seems very energetic about this finals event, and rightly so. He should definitely be feeling hype. And look at Soulkey. He's got a little bit of pursed lips here, teeny tiny bit of nerves maybe coming through. I think this is maybe his most uncomfortable finals he's probably taken part in a long time. I do think he's going to bring us some insane games. I don't think he's just going to fall by the wayside and give Best an easy run of his money by any chance. But StarCraft is a zero-sum game, so any teeny tiny percentiles are important at this level of gameplay. So if even there's a teeny tiny bit of doubt in the mind of the champion that he can win, that might be enough for Best to clinch it.
It'll really be up to Best. How he can control his Corsairs, I think, is going to be a huge determining factor in this series, guys. Keeping those alive and keeping those mutas off of his Templar. He is so good at big army unit control and just getting the army where it needs to be, landing the storms and macroing behind all of it. If he's able to get into that late game, if he's able to hit these big timings, I think Best stands a very good chance of getting through, but Soulkey's going to be looking for every opportunity to shut him down early and get those snipes, do Hydraless bus. I'm very curious how many Hydra bus we're going to see in this series.
Oh, absolutely. And he does like to do those mind games where he'll make it seem like a normal, 3-hatch lair into Spire, but really there's a double den coming down to get both of those upgrades online super fast and hit you with a pre-storm timing that can really throw off a lot of Protoss players that aren't adept in both identifying that and responding appropriately. Snow barely held the line by getting a Ninja Zealot scout out on the Eclipse map where he, spotted those Hydras incoming halfway across the map, and that gave him just barely enough precious seconds to throw down additional cannons, kill a couple of overlords with Corsairs, and buy a little bit of time with that initial DT. Best is going to have to do similar things here to hold the line against Soulkey. Soulkey is so adept at executing these timing attacks. He's the best in the business at it.
I wonder if Best has Snow on his side, like giving him a bunch of pointers and tips, helping him out with this finals. I'm sure he's got a lot to say after his best of 7 versus Soulkey. That was one of the best, most fun series we've seen in ASL. So much back and forth between those two guys. And it really came down to the wire. But the final game, guys, Soulkey pulled out something that I found very interesting. Throwing down a 12 hatchery at a third base. He actually pulled that out twice in the previous series versus Snow. And so I'm curious to see if he's going to continue to utilize that. I've been messing around with it myself on the ladder, and it seems like a pretty decent build.
He probably will do that on Eclipse game number 1, actually, which is best choice of map. I do imagine that's a very strong likelihood. If he does want to go for 12 hatch, he has to build that at the third base, and it will be happening on a map like Eclipse. It looks like we're about to get the players set up at their computers in a few moments here, guys. I'm so pumped up for these games. It's going to be absolutely off the chain. This whole tournament, frankly, has been kind of insane, saying that we've been spoiled for choice with the quality of series, and a lot of these round of 8 games were pretty much semifinals. And all right, there's Snow there, I believe, hiding behind that sign.
Was that Snow?
I think so.
I'm not sure.
The glasses gave it away, but I don't know for sure.
That kind of looks like Hero there. Hard to tell, though, with the sign being held up in front of the face. Some of these guys in the front row, I'm sure a lot of the pro gamers sitting right behind the ladies we have up here at the front. It's starting to fill out, guys. This entire stadium should be absolutely packed full because this is an insanely hyped finals.
Yeah, I don't think we've had a more hype finals in a long, long time. This, like we've been talking about, might be the time we finally have that Protoss champion. It's been a long time coming. This would be the 7th time without a Protoss champion, just to reiterate, if Soulkey were to win. So that, yes, so 6 ASLs. The last one was season 12 with Mini taking a victory. That's been a long time ago now, though. So it would be so great for the community, for the scene, if we could upset the current run of events and get a new Protoss champion in there. And who better to take that mantle than Best? He's been working hard for so long. It's been since 2008, this guy hasn't been in a proper major finals match. And he did get that silver placed all the way back in the OSL, I think, 2008. So would be really great here today for not only myself, but you guys at home to see this guy taking the mantle of champion.
And even if he doesn't, this has been an incredibly balanced race in ASL. 2 Protoss players in the round of 4. We had very even round of 8 as well. It's been incredibly race balanced overall in pretty much every season of ASL right up until the finals. And this season, we could be getting another Zerg victor. Really, any way that this goes, history is going to be made, guys. Either we're going to get that 4-peat ASL for the first time ever, or we're going to get Best taking his first ever ASL and breaking that streak of losses for Protoss. This is history in the making, guys, what we're watching right now.
Yeah, pretty much no matter what happens, it's going to be crazy. I would rather Best take the victory here. That would be my absolute dream situation. But honestly, it's a win-win regardless what happens. Either we get that Bonjour Zerg that's making history with his 4 back-to-back events. Even Flash couldn't do something like that. That'd be kind of crazy, especially for a Zerg player to take that mantle. And this might be the first chance he's got before Flash comes back. I mean, Flash is having his wrist surgery right now. If that's all successful, we might be seeing Flash in the next ASL at the end of August here today.
I'd be disappointed if we didn't see Flash with all the hype that's been swirling around him. He's got to come back in this next season. I'm so happy that we're starting to cast this ASL right now. I couldn't have asked for a better season to start, Xun. I hope that we're going to continue on into the future. I know we're going to continue on as Flash comes back and things really start to heat up. Even Effort might be coming back into the scene. We could have another Effort versus Flash finals. That would be crazy.
Yeah, and historically speaking, Effort's gotten the better of Flash more often than not. He was actually the guy that made Flash stop going for 1-1-1 tech-based plays because of the 2-hatch all-in link bust that he used to go for. And he would also get borrower upgrades. So he'd be borrowing the Zerglings inside the main base of Flash and making it an absolute nightmare for him to stabilize the early game shenanigans. Flash pretty much figured out that it was maximum of 70% win rate he could even ever achieve with a build like that. So Effort was the guy that made Flash completely change his style. So there's a lot to be said for Effort's prowess, and it would be really great to see him on the scene again.
Yeah, him and Soma. Soma's going to be back from the military, dude. A golden age of Brood War, absolutely what we're witnessing right now. And one of the most hyped series that's come around in quite a long time. Best versus Soulkey is about to begin, guys. Let me know your predictions in the comments and in the soup chat. Let me know what you guys think. Xun, what is your prediction for this finals?
I think it's going to be a 4-3 no matter what happens. As my heart is telling me that Best is going to win, my brain is trying to disagree and say it's going to be a Soulkey 4-3 victory. I really do hope my brain is wrong and my heart is right, because I really want Best to win.
So a lot of pressure on Best today. I think that I'm going to go with Soulkey as the victor. It's hard to bet against the guy. Very difficult to bet against him. And even though I do have it in my heart, I'd love to see Best take this victory and set the record straight. Get another Protoss win on the board. I feel that Soulkey, he just has such an excellent style and an amazing understanding, a deep understanding of this game that's going to be hard to beat. I'm going to predict like a 4-3 for Soulkey, but that's not where my heart's at right now. I really do want to see Best win as well.
Yeah, I think we definitely share that sentiment. It's going to be hard for Best to make it happen, but he's seen the champion bleed. Snow got a little bit under his skin. He's had such a good chance to prepare. I'm sure everyone and their mother has been giving Best advice, not just the Protoss players, but the Zerg squad especially. A lot of people are a bit annoyed at Soulkey in the sense that, you know, they call him a bit of an entitled child in the scene because of his back-to-back success. And I'm sure a lot of pros would like to see him squashed like a bug in this finals. And I imagine he's had so much help as a result.
As much as we love a champion, a lot of us would like to see the champion fall. That's for sure. Best, is he going to be able to dethrone Soulkey here today? He's going to have perfect control, excellent decision making, awesome scouting, making sure that he knows exactly what's coming, because Soulkey is insanely good at hiding his bus and breaking through these Protoss players before they ever get online.
Yeah, and this is going to be problematic for Best. If he just tries to play a normal, straight-up macro game against Soulkey, he might just get absolutely pulled apart by the superior control of Soulkey. He just has such a good affinity of figuring out how to create tiny little weaknesses and exploit the most niche of timings as well. We saw how Snow got dispatched on Metropolis with that really technical Mutalisk bust. Best could have probably just made a shield battery and been okay there, but it's very hard. Sorry, Snow could have made a shield battery and been okay there, but it's very hard to make that call in the moment. And unfortunately, if Best does make some miscalculations in what he needs to defend, he's going to really fall by the wayside. There's no easy solution, because if you invest too much in your defense, you then won't survive the mid-game transition or macro phase. So you always are trying to walk the tightrope and make as little as possible and still survive.
Oh, that was such a heartbreaking game, man. Game number 1 was Snow versus Soulkey. If he had pulled a probe to the entrance and just blocked before the third zealot popped out so that he could have the wall in and not let the lings pass, those lings slipped through and killed that cannon. My heart broke because he barely didn't hold that. If he had another cannon there, he absolutely would have, and we would have had, I think, Snow going through to the finals because that series was so close. That first victory really set the pace, and it gave Soulkey that tiny leg up that managed to slip through with those 4 victories. Dude, I mean, that's one of those things that haunts you for years, I think, as Snow, who has just been so dedicated to the scene. He's done so much work in his PvZ and makes a mistake like that and just loses straight up. That's it. Oh, I can't even imagine what he's feeling at that moment.
Yeah, I can't even imagine the emotions. You saw how emotional Snow was going into that semi-finals match when he finally did break through the round of 8. He definitely seemed like it meant a lot to him. And I imagine today Best might be a little bit crushed if he's not able to go the distance and at least take it to Game 7 and have a chance at going all the way here. I do feel like there's something in the air. There's some energy that maybe can be lended to Best. I think we need to start lending him our energy, guys. So if you've seen Dragon Ball Z, start channeling your energy right now and put your hands up to the sky, because Best needs to charge a very big spirit bomb to take on Soulkey.
The big boss here, Soulkey. You can't do this alone. You can't beat Soulkey alone. You need an entire community behind you. I hope that Snow's been working with Best and helping him out, crafting the strategy that can actually take down Soulkey in this series.
Yeah, I really do hope it does transpire, Saiyan. I've never wanted a Protoss to win more in my life. Coming from both Zerg players, we are here rooting for the Protoss, so this is how hype it is, guys. I hope you at home are also feeling a little bit of goosebumps, a little bit of nerd chills as well, like we are here in the booth.
Absolutely. I mean, it's hard. It is hard for me to imagine Best winning this series. First time being in the finals. It's taken such a long time to get here, and the moment, the gravity of the moment has got to be kind of overwhelming. Either way, he's going to be seeded into next season. He's kind of got a foothold here in the ASL for a future victory. If it's not today, maybe sometime in the future. Look at that, a 3-3. Absolute dead even match history between these two. Oh my goodness. It couldn't be more hype, guys.
Yeah, officially speaking, I mean, if you look back at every game that's ever been played between these guys, it's way obviously more Soulkey sided, around about 40-ish%. I think 35 on series and 40 on individual games. But that's okay. I mean, this is an offline event. Everything is totally different here. It is going to be a long series, no matter what happens, because Best and Soulkey are just such strong macro players. They don't need to rely on cheeses to get the job done. I think Snow didn't really have that capability of, having a powerful macro engine to work with against Soulkey. So every time it did transition into a normal game, it seemed like Soulkey was getting the better of him. I don't think that's going to be the case here. I think if Best can get some early game shenanigans going with some Zealot run bys and what have you, I think he will have a much better chance in that macro game against Soulkey, unlike Best. So I do think there's a very strong chance that Best could go all the way and maybe take the series here. Somewhere between 35 and 40% chance is what I'd give him. But right now, I'm feeling a lot more hype for Best than usual. So I'm putting it closer to 40%. And it is going to be Best setting the tempo with map number 1 pick on Eclipse.
Best also selecting Death Valley for map number 3. That is so interesting, He had such an interesting, unique style on that map in his series versus Queen. That was one of the best games of the entire season, guys. Definitely recommend if you haven't seen that one. Oh my goodness, what a fun game that was. But he lost. He did lose on that map. So I'm not sure why he's still picking it. Maybe he's got something else planned, or maybe he's got to refine that style. I'm very curious.
Yeah, I'm curious as well. But hey, more for us saying we at home will definitely be seeing a Death Valley game, even if it's a 4-0 tonight. So that's one thing to be happy about. We got their Best with his Biumic football t-shirt on, showing some love for his respective teams. Soulkey taking a deep breath, could be composing himself. Yeah, Champion looks a teeny tiny bit uncomfortable. He's still going to be the best player on the planet, more or less, right now, though. So his performance will be unquestionable. Very strong showing from him no matter what happens. It's going to be wherever or not Best can just get under his skin a little bit in these first few games and create opportunities for himself.
Well, I've seen Best do pretty well with the early Zealots versus Soulkey in his previous matches. In the KCM, he was able to continuously get in there, just get that little bits of damage over and over again. But Soulkey always able to transition and still have a strong showing. We'll see if Best can throw him off here. First game, his map pick, Eclipse. Guys, we're about to get into it.
Yeah, both players shaking out their wrists, limbering up. It's good to do your wrist exercises before your games. Yeah, we got Eclipse, then Metropolis, Death Valley, Radiant, Deja Vu, Dominator, and finally Polestar as that decider match. If Best can win here on his map pick Eclipse in game number 1, it's going to be great to set the tempo and things to come. But we're getting started saying, let's lock in. It's the finals time, the ASL finals between Best versus Soulkey, game number 1 on Eclipse. Let's get it on.
Here we go. Best spawning down here in the bottom left-hand corner. Our red Protoss player. And over here in the top right, Soulkey, the 3-time ASL champion, ready to take his 4th victory in a row, make history, and Best upset that. take his own ASL victory, the first one, the first finals that he's ever made it through to. This is an exciting match to say the least, Xun. What will Soulkey open up with? We were just saying that it might be that 12 hatch play at the third base that he showed multiple times in his series versus Snow. Such an interesting build. I'd love to see it again.
Yeah, it's going to be that or the overpull. One of the two on a map like this, I would imagine. Quick Pavel scout out from best. I wonder what he's going to be doing. Is he going to be throwing down a 12 next, a 12 forge, and going for a potential cannon rush play here? Or is he going to play a little bit more safe and standard? We'll have to wait and see. He looks like he wants to put on a lot of pressure with this initial probe regardless, though. Maybe get some harassment in the mineral line of Soulkey. Looks like it is going to be that overpull to play as safe as possible.
Is looking that way. Overpool from Soulkey. A very standard way to play in the early game. Doesn't really reveal anything to your opponent. Doesn't leave a lot of options for things like cannon rush or anything like that as well. You will be able to make enough to deal with early zealots. Shouldn't be taking any damage here, and has the option to maybe put on some pressure, although with the forge fast from best, looks like we're not going to have any of that early pressure. In fact, Soulkey going to go ahead and take this natural, unhindered by best, who's coming down and isn't actually going to go down that ramp to spot that. Putting a little damage on these drones initially, but there's no gateway here. There's no zealot on the way, so this little bit of drone damage is not going to matter much unless he can stop one or two of those drones from mining for a couple seconds.
Yeah, and I think going for the forge first here does kind of simplify things for best. It's a little bit easier to navigate, although I'm sure he's done so much preparation in this, for at least for the first few games. You never really prepare for like the decider match, like game 7 usually, but the first like 3 or 4 games, you better believe there's crazy amounts of contingencies these guys have considered. They've really got it mapped out in their brain what they need to do in these situations. I would imagine we might be seeing something a little bit crazy out of one of them, but this also might be one of our more standard games of the evening. We could be seeing a very long, powerful macro game from both sides here, or at least relying on a mid-game timing attack.
That is possible. The way that things are opening here, it's not looking too crazy on either side, but things can heat up pretty quickly if Soulkey decides to throw down a Hydralisk Den. Setup from best is looking pretty good, and he's going to be transferring his probes over here in a moment. And you can see, oh, he's actually a little slow on that. Look at how late this probe transfer is. Maybe a bit of nerves here we're seeing from best.
Yeah, a little bit of suboptimal probe transfer. It's not actually going to, make or break the game too much, but any lost mining time is a little bit annoying for any player in this situation. And sometimes you see players pull those probes a little bit too early or sometimes too late, and that will, make an issue for them either way. You're probably looking at about 50 to 100 minerals lost mining time if you don't transfer at the right time, and you've got like 10-ish seconds of downtime. And it does make a difference. Like 50 minerals per minute per probe at this stage in the game.
This is probably the hardest and the most likely for someone to make a mistake. The small mistakes like this is in that first game when the tensions are the most high, right? You've got the most adrenaline right before that first game, and then as you start to slip in and get kind of comfortable later into the series, there's going to be less and less mistakes. We'll see if those mistakes start to compile and one player makes more than the other. That's kind of the name of the game in Brood War. Who's making the least mistakes overall?
Yeah, now it's going to be that Citadel first saying. We were talking a little bit off air about this. You were saying about how, he has a hard time with his Zair openings, and someone like Soulkey could easily deal with him. And I told you that the way he's going to pressure Soulkey in this game is by doing a Citadel first, even forces the cancel on the Dem. Soulkey, beautiful run by though, gets into the main base with a lot of speed things. There is a Dragoon that was made to kill this Overlord. He's trying to save that Overlord right now, as well as punish this Dragoon. Does manage to use a probe drill to block that kill from coming online, but that means it's lost mining time now. Soulkey getting some potential more damage on these probes as follow-up as well. This Dragoon will help kill these Zerglings and push them out of the main base, but Soulkey just wants to save this Overlord.
Yeah, that Overlord looks like it's going to escape just fine. That's some incredible play from Soulkey to make that work in a situation like this. Getting in there and getting the information as to what's exactly going on in this main. Finding out about that Citadel early on and then also saving the Overlord is kind of crazy levels of value here overall for Soulkey. And oh my goodness, there's nothing in the wall for Best. He's made 2 gateways, but he sent the Zealots out. These Zealots are going to go around. There's so many different pathways on this map. He's not going to see the Lynx coming in. These Lynx can run straight on by. There are 2 cannons, so quite a few Lynx will die in the run by attempt. But he should be able to get quite a few into the main base. These 2 Zealots coming over here. They're not going to be contested, though. He sees the Zealots. He's going to run all the way back home with these Lynx. No run-by is incoming, and this is going to deal quite a bit of damage, and this is going to force away a lot of this stuff, and at a pretty important time here when Soulkey really needs to be making and just producing to get ready for this Zealot timing.
Oh, he gets a drone kill as well. Does manage to finally get a good round on those Zealots. We'll be able to take those down. It's not the worst damage for Best, though. Forcing a little bit of lost mining time and a drone kill is something to write home about. He will continue the pressure of these next 3 Zealots. Soulkey split his Lings in the 2 lanes as well, so there might be a little bit of chance for these 3 Zealots to do something, although the Mutalisks are now out, and we'll start to do a cleanup on our 5 on these Zealots. They have a lot of HP, but they will eventually go down to the chase micro of Soulkey, so Best is going to try and kill as many Zerglings as possible. He's actually sending out another additional 2 Zealots, maybe to hit this 3rd base, but I think he's thinking better of it. There will be Sunkens behind these Mutalisks as well, so he might be better off just waiting, biding his time before sending those in.
Well, this has gone about as bad as it could possibly go for Best. We're going to have a situation where he's just going to end up losing this cannon in the main base. A Dragoon is coming back here. Great pull from Soulkey, just pulling back the injured Muta. Will manage to keep all of them alive. From the run by to the Zealots all going down before +1 and speed is done. Everything's gone wrong with this build. You're supposed to be hitting with kind of an overwhelming number of Zealots at a strange time here with +1 and speed, and he's got neither of them. Plus, he's losing everything back at home.
Yeah, he has to make an Archon to re-secure his main base, and Soulkey has really good micro. He can also dance around the Sim City of Best all day long and try and make it impossible for that Archon to ever catch him. There's the Archon morph there. It's going to be a long time coming before he actually re-secures this main base. He's going to attempt to make some sneaky cannons here and there, but Soulkey should be on top of everything and deny any cannons going up. He has to rely on that Archon. He's got a Dragoon to support it as well, so maybe there's just barely enough here to re-secure this main, but it might not be. There's an additional 2 Mutalisks that are about to show up as well.
Yeah, these Mutas are going to come into the main, and there's nothing really he can do about it. Just running around the outside here with the Archon, it's so easy for Soulkey to just dodge back and forth. It takes such a long time to walk around those pylons. The pylon's really working against Best here. As soon as he walks to the left, the Mutas move to the right, and here comes the Templar finally, but he's not even got energy for the Storm just yet. He will throw one down here in a moment. Is Soulkey ready for that? Yeah, he is. He's just going to dodge that. Now can kill the Templar. And the Archon's going to go back to walking to and fro, looking for these Mutas. Oh, another pretty good Storm, but I think this Nexus is going to end up going down, Xun. Yeah, there's almost no way to save it. When the Nexus goes down, it's got to be a tap-out moment here for Best. It's definitely not gone his way in this first game. It's pretty much over, guys. I don't know what else to say.
No, there's not much else that Best can really do in this game besides try and wear out Soulkey a little bit going forward into this series. It's going to be almost impossible to win this game now for Best. He's going to try and make some cannons and restabilize by making that Nexus belatedly and hope that there's not that many drones for Soulkey. But unfortunately, Soulkey does have pretty good saturation at all 3 bases, so any transition will still be very potent from Soulkey. He will get a very strong 6-hatch Hydra follow-up from this while utilizing the Mutalisks to kill High Templars. So not much hope here for Best. He's going to try and do his best to not go out in such a clean fashion. He wants to make this a dirty win for Soulkey and maybe make him have to play a little bit sloppy to actually secure the win. He's going to try and frustrate Soulkey's efforts as much as possible rather than just tapping out and giving Soulkey a quick momentum shift.
I think it might be better just to tap out. Honestly, just start thinking about the next game. This is going to be kind of a demoralizing loss here if you stay and fight it out. Well, maybe Soulkey will just make it quick for him. Send a bunch of Hydras over here and just break the front. He can come in and just kill the High Templar. He's going to go ahead and fight at the corner here. Starting to kill some Dragoons, in fact. And now the Lings are going to come forward. There's maybe 1-2 storms, so Best could potentially hold on, but with the Midas diving, he's just going to kill these Templars so quickly. The Templar are now gone, and the Hydras can break through everything else.
Yeah, it's going to be really rough here for Best to have to swallow this game. Number one, it hasn't gone his way at all. Soulkey should be able to take this game down, even taking a 4th base behind this and killing some of these transferring probes. There are 2 cannons finished in that main base to help defend that, but he's killing all the probes on transit into going back to mining there. Now here comes the big bust attempt. 2 control with Hydra should be enough. GG is called. Best is frustrated. Soulkey taking a quick game number 1 victory here in the series to set the pace.
Yeah, that was rough. I understand the idea here from Best, but trying to play this against Soulkey, it's very tough to pull off. He is just so adept at dealing with any sort of early shenanigans. I want to see Best play a standard game, get into a longer macro game with a decent position, and then he can start to pull Soulkey apart with his superior army movement. He's very good with his control once he gets into a big army, but if he just lets Soulkey pull him apart in the early game, man, this is going to be a very quick series. Soulkey is so good at that type of style.
Oh, he really is. And just because our hearts are in the place for Best right now doesn't mean we're taking anything away from Soulkey. He's absolutely the best player on the planet, currently speaking, and is very strongly in favor of getting that 4P title and Bonjour status, I would say. He's just that good. It's insane. And the thought process here of I'm not only going to get the full scout off with my Overlord, I'm going to force you to make a Dragoon to kill that Overlord. Then I'm going to do a run by of my Zerglings to stop you even killing that Overlord. It's just really masterful tier play from Soulkey, and we expect nothing less from him.
Yeah, this was intended to completely surprise Soulkey, maybe counter some sort of a Hydralisk play. If you can get a bunch of Zealots out here with +1 in speed, and your opponent is trying to bust you, you could just kind of overwhelm and then force them to keep making Hydras, never make drones, and you can keep powering up behind it, pull them side to side, this way and that, running in and running by into the main base, starting to deal damage here and there. It just was not meant to be, though. Easily gets in there and shuts it down, does Soulkey. Oof. Rough first game, Xun. Really rough first game. I hope Best can shake that one off.
I mean, it is rough saying, but Best just needs to, think to a more militaristic mindset here. He needs to act like a commando and just never give up. And no matter what craziness happens and how much Soulkey pounds him in the face, he needs to just stay firm and be able to go the distance and not give up easily, no matter what happens in this series. Anything could turn around. Soulkey could win the first 2 games, then suddenly Best wins 2 or 3 in a row. It's definitely possible, guys.
All right, we're going to take a quick break here, just 5 minutes. Use the washroom, and we'll be right back. All right, finally we're back. Okay, here we go, guys. Game number 2. I'm just eager to get into this next game. That was such a wash, that first one. I want to get this next one started already so we can see some great play from Best. I think a lot of people are going to be feeling a little bit down on his chances after that first one, but guys, that's hopefully we're not going to get a repeat of that. That is completely outside of the realm of possibility. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, ditto saying I just ate a banana to help add a little bit of potassium and vitamin B's to the lending of my energy that's going Best's way right now. I'm hoping that will suit his ape brain and he can really start to dial it in and get into his flow state. He also looks a little bit uncomfortable. He just needs to settle down and focus. You know, just ignore the rest of the world even exists. The only thing that exists is you, your arms, the keyboard, the mouse, the game in front of you, and nothing else matters right now. The only thing that is important is being able to dial in and play your absolute best game no matter what transpires. You need to be able to get into a focused state of mind. It's called flow state. If you can slip into that flow state and stay in that groove, anything is possible here.
There's that beautiful trophy on stage. One of these two players is going to be taking that home with them. We're going to get a nice photo of one of them kissing it tonight. I mean, Soulkey, he's had that pleasure many, many times. Best, he cannot wait to get his lips on that thing. Here we go, guys. We're jumping into game number 2.
Here we go, guys. ASL Season 19 Finals Best versus Soulkey. It's time for game number 2. Soulkey's pick, Metropolis. Let's get it on.
Here he is, Best, spawning in top left. We got Soulkey over in the top right. Soulkey's pick, Metropolis. What build is he going to pull out here? He's actually got the kind of suboptimal spawn location. If he takes a third, it'll most likely have to be kind of far down in that bottom right. If he takes the third that's closest to his natural, then it's going to be very close to Best. Could be a little bit difficult to defend.
Yeah, I think Best has a strong chance at beating him with these current spawns. It's a little bit difficult for Zerg. They kind of have to take 3 o'clock as their third base, and it's so far away from their natural that it's easy to exploit with Zealot run-bys and what have you. So maybe Best can get something going with that. Looks like she is definitely a big Best fan and still seems to think that Soulkey's going to be eliminated here today. I mean, I hope so. I hope it is going to be transparent. We're going to be having another overpull from Soulkey, it seems, but Best scouting first, so the stars are aligning for our ape to go the distance here.
He can start to optimize a little bit here, his build, make sure that he can get the forge just right at the nick of time and have those cannons finish up in order to defend this. These links that are eventually going to be made here. Soulkey going to be sending out his drone now. It's kind of looking like he wants to take the third over at center right, but it's possible he could take it down at bottom right. We saw that for a long time, a few seasons ago, kind of around the season when Larva won. You guys remember that? You remember that, Xun, when Zergs were always taking the natural and then sunkening up and just playing defensive? We haven't seen that for such a long time. Would have been cool to have it here, but Soulkey is going to go ahead and take that more standard center right.
Yeah, that was basically Lava's style of just securing a natural and then playing pure turtle Zerg mode with Sunkens and Spores and Lurkers and getting a quick 4 base online and just powering up straight into Hive and overwhelming you potentially. Definitely was really well played from Lava going for that kind of style, but not many other players adopted that kind of turtle Zerg for very long. A few players were doing it on the ladder and a couple of the pros were trying to emulate something like that, but the majority of them kind of had their own style and didn't really go down the same line of thinking as someone like Lava, who had a kind of unique take to the game, and that's one of the reasons why it's a shame he's no longer with us.
It's not that he's dead or anything, guys. Larva is still alive and well when you say he's no longer with us. It sounds a little bit final.
He's dead to me, Saiyan. He's no longer playing StarCraft.
No, he's still doing fine. He does play StarCraft here and there, but not at a competitive level anymore. I think his wrist kind of blew out after his ASL final, and
yeah,
he makes just enough money, I think, as a streamer to keep himself fed. So he doesn't need to compete at that highest level anymore. He did what he needed to do. He got it done. So yeah, more power to him, realizing when it's time to stop.
I really do miss like some of his shenanigans as well. Playing with his feet against Legend was obviously a classic. Killing his own drone versus quite a few players. Also on his stream, like the giant keyboard as well, where it's like the keyboard's the size of his desk. That was pretty hilarious. He's just a fun guy all around. We got a 973 coming out from Soulkey. It seems like we'll somehow best be able to identify this in the next couple of minutes. If he has to wait until a Corsair scout confirms everything, it does usually take too long to fully optimize against that. And with the close rush distances, Soulkey could maybe make something happen and at least kill the wall with a fake Hydra bust and transition very easily. Seems like there's no Stargate yet online, so he's going for a very okay, there's the Stargate, so pretty standard Stargate timing from Best, so he won't identify this too quickly unless the probe or Zealots gets in there.
That probe is going to start to get tracked down. Looks like Ling speed is done, so Soulkey going to be really hiding this build well. However, these Zealots are going to come in and cause a lot of chaos. Start to perhaps track down some of these drones and at least cause the Zealots, or cause the Lings to all be pulled to this location, getting in behind the mineral patches as well. This is looking like a pretty good trade for Best overall. Fighting one-on-one at the bottom side and two-on-one on the top side. He's getting a lot of kills here, and he's seeing exactly how many drones are popping out, and that's a very low number of drones, so he's got to be suspicious.
Yeah, Soulkey made 2 pairs of Lings at that base to try and obfuscate and kind of trick Best a little bit. But sometimes that can also be a tell if they want to make Zerglings at that location, because he preemptively made them. They were popping out as the Zealots were more or less running in, which does signal to Best that he's optimizing his drone production at his main and natural only. So Hydra Bust is likely on the cards here. If he can somehow hedge his bets and make an additional cannon before the Corsair has even spotted these, that would be another big win for him. Corsair's beelining straight for that sort of natural location. He wants to get a count on how many drones there are the natural. And look at this, there's hardly any drones mining here at all. So he's going to be super suspicious now. He's like, this is not even a 973. This is like a 952 or something.
Yeah, this is pretty close to all in, guys. He is going to be able to take out this wall. He wanted to try and run by here, but look at the setup from Best. That pylon on the left, you know, most players will try to hold with, you know, 2 Zealots on the left-hand side, and that can be a little tricky. You need another Zealot in between the Forge and Gateway, but he sets the pylon up so he can hold the left side with just 1 Zealot. And so no run-by was able to happen there with the Lings, and now a lot of cannons are finishing up. He even made that 3rd cannon right off the bat as kind of a safety, knowing that there might be something going on. He could cancel it a little bit later if the Corsair scout didn't see anything. But now he's going to be killing Overlords as well. Dude, Best is in such a good spot. He's going to get 2 Overlords here, and he's got more than enough cannons to hold this.
I think Soulkey's like goofing up right now. Like, he's trying to be too technical. He's trying to play so many steps ahead of Best that he's actually playing himself. You never want to think more than 1 step ahead of your opponent. He's going for the bust attempt now. Ling Hydra making their way into the natural. Beautiful screening of these probes, though, keeping the Hydras from achieving the surface area necessary to kill enough cannons. He didn't even lose too many probes in that exchange as well, so there's not really much potential for Soulkey to transition into a normal game behind this. If he somehow killed like 8 or more probes, maybe he could start to think about a transition. As it stands, he's so all in with this, and gonna be losing maybe another Overlord or 2 if he's not careful, which will pin down the reinforcing Hydras from being able to commit to additional bust attempts. So Soulkey's in a lot of trouble now. Best will have a very potent mid-game going forward.
Yeah, he's gonna get in here. He sees the drones popping. He knows that it's not just pure Hydra being made, so he can start to cancel some of the cannons that he started. Okay, he doesn't have the ability to do that. Looks like they all finished up. It's fine, though. Start to throw down gateways here behind this. There's so few drones. This could be absolutely domination from Best. He's even going to get his Robo immediately, realizing that, you know what? Probably the only way that Soulkey can live is if he gets a bunch of lurkers out right now, and I don't have an observer. So he's immediately going to go up into that observer play, get these gateways online, get an observer out, and just go and try to kill him.
Yeah, it does seem like that's the thought process here from Best. He should have a very strong mid-game no matter what happens now, just because of how much further ahead he is of the curve of the game in terms of economy, and his production is a little bit slowed down by how many cannons he was forced to make. But because inversely, Soulkey also didn't have that many drones, he's still going to, relatively speaking, be far more ahead of Soulkey in that production capability. It's kind of like when you go for an 8 racks versus, again, both players are behind a minute in the tech timings. It's kind of what's happened here because of how many cannons were had to be made, but Soulkey's a lot further than a minute behind schedule. So even though Best seems like he's a little bit behind his gateway count and what have you, relatively speaking to Soulkey, it's more than enough to put the pressure on. Here comes the first control group of Zealots. Do manage to isolate one of these Hydras, Soulkey's going to have a really hard time fighting this back.
Yeah, Soulkey can't make anything except for Hydras now, and he needs drones. He's desperately far behind in his economy, and so just forcing him to make Hydras over and over again, it's going to be like crippling damage. Look at how few drones are here in the natural. The third is not going to be much better. 2 Overlords went down as these Zealots pressed out, and the follow-up behind this is going to be nasty. As long as Best doesn't just throw... Even if he does... You know what? I take that back. Yeah. Even if he does throw away every single Zealot here and gets hardly any damage at all, I think he's still going to be fine.
Yeah, he's got more than enough to get on top of these Sunkens and kill them. And the main thing is that he's going to kill these Overlords that are here as well. And he's got a couple of DTs that can come out and start to reign supreme. Here's the first Dark Templar. He's got another one back at home. I think he was... Oh, he's going to load it up into a shuttle, saying he wants to get that Dark Templar in the main base for a killing blow attempt, potentially, while he's distracting Soulkey at the front gates. He's going to check the main base with that Corsair. See, there's an Overlord there, and start to put a clock on that and maybe target that down. Third base is also able to be exploited by those Zealots. If he wants to rotate the Zealots around now, that'd be okay as well. He can send the Zealots to the third base, distract the Hydras and coming out to defend against that yet again, while the Dark Templar goes into the main base. So it doesn't matter, there's a Overlord here to deal with this. If all of the Hydras come to now help with the third base, that Dark Templar can get a lot of drone kills. There's 3 DTs! He can kill spires, he can kill buildings. Soulkey now has to choose, do I keep my tech online or do I save my third base? I think it's a bit of a mistake there from Best to not go in with his Zealots right now. Seems like he's playing a lot more passively. Does manage to juke and jive with that shuttle and not get picked off by those Mutalisks that are currently heading to the main base of Best. He's got 3 cannons, a Templar, and 4 Dragoons set up there to defend, so he should be okay.
Yeah, he should be okay. I'm a little surprised he didn't go in too, Xun. He could have sent all the Zealots in and then put the DT on the ramp, and the Hydras can't come to assist. Like, there's so many things he could have done right there. He's being a little cautious, but caution is warranted. It's just don't let Soulkey get back into this game. 3-4 kills on this DT, 5. Pretty good damage here over at the natural. Still, there's DTs in the main. I think he's slowly running those down with slow overlords here, but eventually he might be able to get on top of that. The cannon looks like it's going to go down as well. He can start to kill some probes. This is the great comeback mechanic for Zerg, is these mutas flying around can get some pretty good damage if he finesses it just right.
Yeah, he's going to have to also use preemptive storms with the high Templars that are in key locations to put as much blanketed damage onto that flock of mutas to make them easier and easier to clean up. Dragoons lose in a straight-up fight against pure muta, so you do need to get a little bit of splash on them somehow, some way. Like that preemptive storm there, he's trying to put the storm in the path of the mutas rather than directly on them to get as maximum value as possible. Storm does 110 damage over 2.5 seconds, but if you're quick enough with your mutas, obviously you can dip and dive out from that storm and not take too much of that total damage.
Oh man, if Best loses this game, guys, oh man, it's gonna be so painful. If Best loses this game, I think Best's gonna lose this entire series. No, GG. Okay, there we go. I was gonna say, guys, like Soulkey, he was starting to come back, but He just leaves that game. He was so down and out. He was so down and out. He might have just left that game like right after the Hydra bus failed, but he decided to stick in there and see if there's anything he could do.
Your seeds of doubt are not much favored by me, Soulkey. I had to do a psychic attack onto Soulkey and make him GG out now, so there was no hope of a comeback actually happening. How dare you?
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Well, I mean, he did lock everything down. He got that third base online. Just securing for a longer game there was enough to force Soulkey out. He was hoping for just an insane comeback with a bunch of mutas, but wasn't able to find it. A good fighting spirit shown there by Soulkey, but he does want to just tap out and get into the next game.
Yeah, it makes sense. And sometimes you can make the argument that you want to stay in the game and kind of wear out your opponent, but the reality is that Soulkey would have to wear himself out more than Best would to come back in this game. So it does actually kind of make sense to just tap out and not let Best get too confident with his task switching and macro. Soulkey wants to not let the ape get too warmed up for the future games, because there will be some crazy macro games in the series, and Soulkey probably feels like Best is the one that needs to warm up more than him in that case. So it makes sense just to tap out while he still can and not give too much mojo to Best in that game by outplaying him in the skirmishes.
I think it was a little bit of what I was saying as well in the Eclipse game. Best, don't want to wear yourself down, and don't want to get like in that mental space where you're just so far behind there's almost no hope.
Right.
Just better to go into the next game, just acknowledge that you made some mistakes and take it from the start. Just let it go. Honestly, dominant performance in the first game for Soulkey, pretty dominant performance from Best in the second game. I don't think anyone has a real serious mental edge in this series. We're going into game number 3, all tied up. It's basically a best of 5. We're starting over.
Yeah, I'm so psyched for the rest of this series, saying we've had such an amazing season of ASL, and this seems like it could be a really spectacular climactic finish to the whole event. It's been a real privilege and pleasure to bring you guys these games. Once more, there is still that ASL giveaway. 2 ASL jackets are online to be taken by you guys. All you need to do is donate either 50 gems or gifted sub, and you'll have an opportunity to win one of those 2 jackets. And it's per entry, so 50 gems is an entry, 1 sub is an entry. We've currently got the Cult of the Hot 6 online, and every time there's the camera panning to people, they need to open their cans or chug. I think that guy didn't have his can open. He was like, damn, I can't actually chug this right now. It's not even open.
Get your energy drink online, Xun. I know it's very late for you right now. What time is it?
It was 6 a.m. when I woke up, but I only had 2 hours sleep. So, I did actually chug a little bit of an energy drink this morning to try and get my own mojo up. I wish I had a hot 6 right now.
Yes, look at that guy with the ASL jacket, and he's got it signed on the sleeves. Exactly what I was talking about, guys. You could be that guy right there. Bringing your ASL jacket to the ASL. We've got a giveaway going right now. 2 ASL jackets are up for grabs, guys. All you need to do is gift 50 gems here on SCTV or 1 gifted sub. If you're watching this later on YouTube, sorry, you missed your chance. It's only available until May the 25th here at the end of the stream. So this is the very last day to enter to win, guys. That is legendary. Having an ASL jacket with a bunch of players signing it. I mean, what better collector's item for StarCraft could you possibly imagine?
Yeah, everyone's chugging today. I think maybe she's not quite an experienced drinker. She's taking a little sip and then gives a thumbs up. Most of these guys in the crowd, here we go. This guy knows what's up. Chug, chug, chug indeed. Got the Chug Squad in full swing today. Laughs from the casters as well, appreciating the commitment to the cult and their charismatic leader here, giving some insights into what might be transpiring in this series. Guys, I can't even tell you how psyched I am. about this. Like I couldn't even sleep last night. I had maybe 2 hours sleep max last night, and got up at 5:40 a.m. to make sure I could splash my face with some water and get into the caster's booth as awake as I could manage. And these games are so hype that I feel like I'm pretty awake right now.
Yeah, so far the series has been pretty one-sided, kind of on both sides though, right? It's hard to say. Like, the first game was totally one-sided for Soulkey. The second game completely one-sided for Best. I'm sure we're gonna get a middle of the road game here in game number 3. Right. Both players are now completely warmed up and they've felt each other out. Now we're gonna go directly into Death Valley, which is kind of crazy.
I mean, we have had this trend in ASL where whoever picks the map tends to lose, and so far we are on track with that as well. With Best winning the game number 2 that Soulkey picked, Metropolis, and Soulkey winning game number 1, Eclipse, which Best picked. So now if Soulkey wins on Death Valley, we will maintain that trend. We'll see if Best can bucket, though. I'm just super stoked that we're guaranteed to get Death Valley no matter what happens. It's one of the spiciest maps that we've had in a while, but not so spicy it's absolutely disillusions like 76 was. I actually really like Death Valley.
Yeah, I'm excited for this next match, guys. 2 minutes, and we're going to jump right into it. We're going to take a quick break. Guys, grab yourself some soju, grab yourself a drink, get a hot 6 if you can. We'll be right back. All right, guys, I hope you are ready. Death Valley is going to be a heck of a game, a heck of a map, guys. Our craziest map of the night for game number 3. After those 2 wild games, those 2 first wacky games, I hope they've shaken out all the nervousness out of their system. Best and Soulkey are going to be popping off here in the rest of this series.
Yeah, I'm sure they've got the kinks out of their gameplay hoses, and the water will be flowing for these next few games, and we're going to see some absolute spectacular bangers of matches coming out of these 2 guys. Super excited to see what's coming down in Death Valley in this next map that Best has picked.
So if you guys weren't there for Best versus Queen in that match on Death Valley, he went for Arbiter of all things. It seemed like his game plan from the beginning to expand on the top side of the map and go directly into Arbiter, but it ended up being countered very well by Queen, who put a proxy hatchery on Best side of the map and then sunkened him in and just kind of trapped him on his side of the map. It's crazy as it sounds, guys. You better watch that game. If you haven't seen that one, definitely go back and watch it. It's one of the best games that we've had in this entire season. In fact, one of the best PvZs I've ever seen in ASL.
Oh, absolutely. And how crazy is it that the round of 8 matches were better than some of the finals of previous ASL seasons? This is how crazy this tournament has been this time around, guys. Seems like we are in a golden era of StarCraft currently. And I'm looking forward to what the future holds as well, because we've got the likes of Effort coming back, Flash coming back. There's so much potential craziness that could happen in the scene. So, stay tuned. Like, enjoy this series, but also come back for next time, because it's going to keep getting hotter.
Yeah, it is for sure. It'll be tough to beat next season, honestly. This season was one of a kind, really special, but with Flash and Effort and Soma and so many others coming back into the scene, it could be even more hype, guys. I'm super excited to cast even the next season. We're already looking forward to that, but this is only just beginning, guys. The series here between Best and Soulkey, it's going to be popping off.
Oh, it already is popping off, saying I'm super excited. I'm glad we've seen an equalizer early on. Both players currently 1-1 in this series. Wouldn't have had it any other way. Would have been a little bit annoying to see Best go down 2-0 and then have to make up the deficit. The fact that we're kind of resetting the pace and now making this more of a best of 5 series, exactly what we need going forward to see a Game 7 transpiring. I just want to give as much energy as I can to Best while still being able to physically talk.
We're having a bit of a back and forth between these two guys here. Not sure who they are, actually. They kind of look like baseball players or something, honestly, with those hats. And I know baseball is very popular in Korea, similar to how it is here in Japan. They're going to be sitting right at the front. Big fans of StarCraft. There's fans from all walks of life here today in the studio.
They seem like brothers. They seem like athlete brothers. I'm not sure if it's baseball or what it is, but I think some kind of sport, and they're very popular on social media, most likely in Korea, and they're showing their love for StarCraft here today. And StarCraft's always had fans from all walks of life. There's plenty of the K-pop stars, for example, that kind of play a little bit in their off time. No one's necessarily good at StarCraft at that kind of social media level, but they do enjoy the game, and they have an immense respect for it and reverence because of its history. Due to the recession in StarCraft in Korea, this was their cheap form of entertainment. There are 2 TV channels completely dedicated to this as their esport, and this is the granddaddy of esports. Like, nothing came before StarCraft. This is what set the pace for the gaming world.
Yeah, this set the standard. Having giant studios filled with screaming fans, aircraft hangars filled with people cheering for their favorite players. We had outdoor studios. We've had massive arenas. These guys, they showed what esports could truly be, guys. We're jumping in.
Here we go, guys. The ASL Season 19 Finals Best versus Soulkey. Game number 3 on Death Valley. Let's get it.
Best spawning in bottom right. We've got Soulkey over here in top left. Exactly the same spawns as Queen versus Best. That's very interesting. We're going to see what Best has in store for us. This is his map pick, guys. He's got a plan here. Will Soulkey try to throw a wrench into that plan, or is he just going to try and play more standard? There's hardly anything that's standard about this map, but you guys get what I'm saying.
Yeah. I mean, usually that's how it goes, though. Like, someone picks a map and the other guy wants to come up with a disruptor plan to make sure whatever was pre-calculated kind of can't transpire in quite the same way. And look at this little proxy pylon placement. It's Best going to do a very strange 9-9 gateway, which is going to take a long time for this Overlord to identify. Like, it's not quite so far out on the map to give much of an advantage of getting the Zealots there quickly, but it's enough far away that it's going to be almost impossible for Soulkey to identify this with this scouting Overlord.
I'm not sure if you can put the gateways side by side in the natural and just have them as a wall later, but I guess it's not going to matter. Even if he gets pushed out and is denied from killing Soulkey with this 9-9 gate, he should at least be able to kill the assimilators, am I right? And then he can just take the take the Nexus behind it pretty safely.
That's the full process, yes.
This is an interesting idea from Best. He is really going to put on the pressure here early.
Yeah, absolutely. So if somehow this wasn't successful, he's hoping he can hold the gap between these two assimilators and slowly kill those off with his Zealots as an afterthought. Soulkey, though, going to be drilling a probe, or at least attempting to drill a probe. He's not getting it yet. Ooh, he now finally gets that drone over there to make the hatchery. Pretty much on time, though. He's just now got 300 minerals. He's actually not going for that. He's actually going to go for a drone scout. Okay, well, I mean, that means he's not going to be so well optimized in his transition from this. And he's not going to identify this with his overlord on the top side. I think that's the plan from Best, was to put this far enough back that it'd take a long time for this overlord to actually spot this. Can he see this?
He's going to proxy the hatch. He's going to proxy the hatch.
He sees it. He doesn't see the Zealot. He's going to proxy hatch and he doesn't see the Zealot with the overlord. This is so well calculated from Best. It was like a hex tile away from being spotted by that overlord. Now he spots it with this. The second Zealot is spotted now. But the proxy hatchery is kind of nuts from Soulkey. He's going to have to rely on one hatchery production alone to hold against two gateways. As long as there's good execution from Best and he micros his heart out, he can maybe make this work. Soulkey knows he has to kill his own assimilators in this situation because eventually the two gateways will outproduce that one hatchery production.
Yeah, I don't understand this. Even if he kills his own assimilators, that means that Best can just... Oh, God, he gets a surround. Huge surround here. Oh, man. One Zealot goes down already, and the other one is so low. This first Zealot is actually doing a great job backing up and getting in behind. Now, more Zealots are going to arrive here, and the other assimilator is still up. Looks like Soulkey's going to try and kill that, but you know... Best can just mine out the bottom side and then start to send Zealots that direction, and he could easily kill that proxy hatch. So it's a really weird situation for Soulkey. Let's see if he can navigate it appropriately.
Yeah, Best doesn't yet know about that proxy hatchery, so he can't necessarily include that into his game plan for the time being. Oh, that Zealot gets the Zealot surrounded. Oh, that's a bit of a mistake from Best. He needed to get into the gap between the gases. Does manage to save it by coming back. Allows Soulkey to put more damage on that second geyser. He's trying to put a clock on this geyser if he can eventually kill it from the other side. Needs to keep at least one Zealot back to stop these Lings from just killing this geyser for free, while the three Zealots and Probe start to deal with the left-hand side. It's been very difficult for Best to protect both sides of this geyser. He needs to get as many Zealots into the main base of Soulkey as possible before he allows Soulkey to kill that. He's got a Sunken back in the main base as well, has Soulkey, so if he needs to get like another 2 Zealots into this main base to have a strong chance at not only killing all the Zerglings but also the Sunken. So far Best has to protect this geyser and get another Zealot in here or 2.
This is such an interesting situation. Best has to assume that there's a hatchery on the bottom side. Oh, he's gonna kill the simulator now. That's interesting. Now the Zealots are locked in. They don't have anywhere else to go. He's gonna check down here. He sees no creepier. He's gonna be like, what the heck is going on? Actually, now I don't even know what's happening. Sending the Zealots back into the main base is the key, though. If he sends the Zealots back and just defends these Lings running into the main base, he's gonna be okay, I should say. Not checking the mineral patches. He has no idea, guys. He has no idea. He's not even checking to see if those mineral patches are getting mined out or not.
Oh, this is really rough. The fact that he's being this lazy and not scouting for it is a really big problem for Best. Now he sees him mine out this. This should be the tipping of the scales to make Best be like, hang on a minute, you're about to attack me in my main base. And that's exactly what's going to come online. I don't know where this Zealot is. I think it's up here protecting the pylon, but he's now going to get a kill on this pylon and deny any more Zealots popping up from these 2 gateways. Best is in trouble. He shakes his head. He's looking really annoyed, and he should be annoyed because this could potentially have been avoided had he scouted this appropriately. But Soulkey's reaction to the opening for Best is almost perfect. It's almost impossible for Best to win from this game state after he locked in his own Zealots into the main base of Soulkey. He made a second Sunken as well to defend. Look at how many probes are going down. This is going to be a Soulkey victory for sure. Really well executed from our champion, dismantling Best and beating him in the thinking game.
Oh my gosh, Best. Oh no, 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 Best. He saw no hatchery at the front, and he checked for for the creep over on the other side of the mineral patches. He saw no creep, and I don't know what went through his head, but he decided that it wasn't concerning to him at all. He just sent those or he stopped zealot production at the 2 gateways. He didn't send any probe or anything to go check his own mineral patches, completely discounting that play. And Soulkey just gets in there, does a huge amount of damage, unrecoverable damage. I mean, he could have also blocked those lings out of the main and just gone with the 8 zealots into the mineral patches and just try to kill as many drones as he could, but he instead sent his zealots all the way back across the map. Xun, they were never going to make it back there in time to save him. Pretty crazy game overall from Bass. I mean, he's got to be pretty shaken after that one. His game plan got completely outdone by Soulkey.
Oh, absolutely. It's a complete masterclass from Soulkey in dealing with shenanigans on that map by going for his own shenanigans. And Best just needed to identify that it was even occurring in the first place. Probe scouting his own ramp to check that the minerals were being mined out would have helped him out a lot. But after he locked himself into Soulkey's main base, he was kind of in a lot of trouble regardless. Soulkey would have made a game of that no matter what happened. He could have made a single cannon on the ramp to defend that if he'd made a forge early on. But unfortunately, he just didn't identify that the proxy hatchery was even going to be a factor in that game. But on a map like that, Best has only got himself to blame. He should know the crazy ranges of play that are likely to transpire. So I hope he doesn't let it get to him. He does seem a little bit disheartened, but he needs to think like a commander right now and not let this phase him, no matter what happens. Now, how many times you get punched in the face, how many shards of shrapnel enter your body, you just need to keep going, Best.
Yeah, Best, I mean, he lost so many. He took so many bad trades with his zealots early on. It's really on him. Like, he should have been able to overwhelm 1 hatch production of lings with 2 gates. Crazy.
Here we go, guys. The ASL Season 19 Finals Best versus Soulkey. Game number 4 on Radion. Let's get it.
Well, Best, maybe not feeling it. Here he is at the bottom right-hand corner, shaking his head as we get him up on screen. Soulkey looking stoic over in the top left. Yeah, that loss has to hurt, man. We've seen Best with some excellent zealot control, but that was not a good example there in that last game. He made several big mistakes with his early pressure and allowed Soulkey to just slow him down and stop him from getting that damage done with the 2 gateway. Seriously, that is such a hard thing to hold. 2 gates against 1 hatchery. Like, yeah, it's hard to even put it into words how difficult it is to get the surrounds that you need against those zealots to take a win.
That's the only reason why it was so difficult for him to pull the trigger on going for a dive in that main base, was because of how good the surrounds were from Soulkey. He put a lot of hurt onto those zealots, even though he didn't kill that many. And at Best had to bide his time. And once he saw that a sunken was already finished and the second one was coming online, there's no counterplay anymore. He needs to scout his own ramp to even know how to deal with that follow-up and mine out his own minerals and eventually take the zealots to that bottom lane from his 2 gateway rally in the top. He knows it's safe on the top lane. He now needs to just send zealots from his natural to his main base and hold the ramp, and he can then defend. Could eventually maybe get a cannon there, or just rallying zealots to that ramp would probably be more than enough. Even using a probe on the minerals to harass the drones that are trying to mine it out would have helped him a lot. Anyway, we're going to jumping into our next game here on Radion. Game number 4. Best needs to tie up the series if he can to keep the pace going. He's definitely really upset about that game loss, but he needs to not let it affect him and just take 1 game at a time right now.
That's for sure. Don't tilt right now, Best. Still anybody's series here. Only 1 game down. And he's going to be coming into this main base doing a little damage to these drones, forcing them off of that mineral patch down at the bottom. At least for a little bit of time here until the Lings can pop out, start to deal with this overpool from Soulkey up against the Forge Fast Expand best. Maybe feeling comfortable in this spot. He's able to fully optimize his early game build, get that Nexus out as quickly as possible while being safe with the cannon behind this, getting into his gateway gas cybernetics core. It looks like we'll have a solid game between these two. Very hard to Hydra bust on this map in this position. Cross map, it's such a long distance.
Yeah, not only is the vertical entrance to the expansion, because obviously the buildings are wider than they are tall, so there's less area to abuse with your Hydras and easier to defend those with your cannons. Plus, with this cross-map distance of 38 worker rush distance, ramp to ramp, it's just so hard to get in there and reinforce with your armies to go for a bust attempt like that. Sometimes, though, you'll still see players go for it purely because it is suboptimal, because the opponent doesn't expect it, and you can catch them with their pants down, especially if he went for something like a Citadel first. He wouldn't have had a Corsair to identify that transpiring, but I don't think we'll necessarily see that from Soulkey. I think it's going to be a link speed into lair.
Link speed into lair, that could be it. Soulkey very strong with a play like that, very standard to get those early Scourge out and contest the Corsairs in the air. I talked about this before we got into that first game, is Soulkey's uncanny ability to control his Scourge and get connections where other players just aren't quite able to do so. It's such a difficult unit to control, so hard to get those connections going, and he just does it better than anybody else. He's very good at getting rid of those early Corsairs and then making those transitions into mutas. Nice snipe there on the pursuing Ling. The Zealot was spotted though by an Overlord, and the second Zealot's going to come out just to support. Citadel on the way here. Best gonna be tracked down with these couple of early Zealots. Losing these two right off the bat is pretty painful.
Yeah, he needs to use these doodads to micro around to make it harder for the Lings to surround. He's not doing that, he's just running back. I think a little bit of a missed opportunity from Best. He should have exploited those doodads and prevented a full wraparound from those Zerglings to at least get slightly better value trades. It doesn't matter though. When all said and done, he did kill some of them. Just means he won't be able to come out onto the map. There's that second early gateway. This is like kind of a mini style build where you're getting a very fast +1 and leg enhancements, as well as an earlier second gateway to put on a lot more pressure. It's going to be the 3-gate variant. This is pretty semi all-in from the Protoss. Very tech-heavy builds right off the bat. In StarCraft, you can kind of focus on either army, tech, or economy, and you can't really do all three at once unless you're someone like Flash that has really crazily optimized builds. So Best is trying to dig deep into army and tech early on, sacrifice a little bit of his macro potential later to hopefully get some damage done to Soulkey in this early game phase.
It's a bit of a strange build. He's still mining gas right now, 3 on the natural, so I'm a little confused. Maybe he's going to go for a bunch of DTs along with Zealots as well.
Zealot, maybe.
Archon Zealot?
Archon Zealot to deal with the mutas, yeah.
Well, usually with a play like this, you're going to focus everything into getting these gateways out as quickly as possible and as many Zealots out, and then get back into gas. But he's got this Templar Archives pretty quick, and the Overlord is diving deep. This Overlord's going to go all the way in and see absolutely everything. We could have a repeat of game number 1, guys.
Yeah, Soulkey's just that good. He's going to commit his Overlord to scouting your full main base every single time. I mean, even if you do make a Dragoon to try and deal with that. A lot of Zealots currently making their way downtown across the center of the board, seeing if they can put some pressure on the Soulkey, at the bare minimum forcing him to produce units and defenses like Sunkens instead of drones. But there will be 5 mutas heading out soon to start cleaning up these Zealots. Here comes the Sunken to deal with this initial speed timing. As you can see, the speed was ready at like 6 minutes 30 rather than like 7 minutes plus, so very quick timing here from Best to try and come in and do some damage early. Does get one drone in the natural. Zealot's trying to get something done at the 3rd base as well, pulling the Zerglings away and then trying to maybe do a dive in and get on top of those drones, but I don't think he feels so comfortable doing that. The mutas are in full number to come out and start cleaning these up, and with the Sunken online, very hard to kill that kill that off. He could, at the very best, like, you know, get rid of some of these drones mining time, but it's not going to be enough. The mutas would then clean up the zealots. So he wants to hide the zealots, run away from the mutas, and then go back in for round 2, right when Soulkey tries to hit the natural with the mutas.
2 drones only have been killed so far in this game. He's going to do another run by here, but really good position from Soulkey. Just going to block this up with links. Buy a little bit of time here. Zealot's going to run by some of them into the main, some of them into the natural. Try to deal as much damage as they can. He actually killed, I think, one of the Zealots going into the natural. Or sorry, this one in the main is actually going to get more damage. 1, 2 kills so far. 3, 4 drone kills. This is quite a bit, man. He's actually doing a pretty good job. Great control there from Soulkey to keep most of those drones alive. Dark Archon behind this. This is what I love to see. Dark Archon coming online is amazing.
Yeah, Best is one of the only Protoss players that's actually pretty comfortable in playing this style. Some Protoss players, like you saw Snow in that series against Soulkey, never really making a Dark Archon. It's because he's not that strong of a macro Protoss player, and he's not so comfortable with that new metagame style of playing and dealing with that Mutalisk force. He will be able to eventually have a Maelstrom online, but will take him a good minute or so before that energy becomes relevant. You can see it's at 75 right now, but he needs 100. Muta's now darting into the main base. I think it's the pro maybe building gateways and trying to snipe anything that pops out of them like a Templar. So far, though, he's not going to be able to get any too much value with that. Sending 3 mutas off to scout the rest of the base here and identify what the unit composition is likely to be from Best. Sees a few Dragoons, but hasn't yet spotted that Dark Archon.
Really important that he actually sees that so that he can split off some of the mutas and not get absolutely shut out by that Maelstrom and Storm combo. Right now, Soulkey is looking pretty solid, but if he loses every muta, things can start to flip very quickly. Soulkey still hasn't seen that yet. He could send in just a single muta and just try to get the information. He could you know, hang out here at the front, wait for this move out. But look at this. Oh, sending in 3. This is a bait. He has an idea. This might be what's coming. There might be a Dark Archon here, and he's trying to force out that Maelstrom early.
Yeah, and he's also getting good scouting information with those Mutalists, seeing exactly how many units are being made, how many gateways are coming online, and he can kind of map in his matrix mind exactly what he needs to defend against this. How greedy can he be? How many drones can he sneak out? He's trying to hide the Dark Archon a little bit at the top of that Archon. It's kind of funny, though. It's like a 400-pound guy trying to hide behind a pine tree. You're not exactly going to be completely obfuscating the width of yourself.
Soulkey being pretty liberal with this group of mutas. He's going to send in 3 again. He's going to spot it. He does see that Dark Archon. There's the Maelstrom, but it's not a very powerful Maelstrom. Only 3 in this clump, and he's forced out the Storm. That's pretty worth it for Soulkey. Just for 3 mutas, finding that Dark Archon, forcing out the Maelstrom and the Storm is fantastic, and now he's still got quite a few to try and dive in, and there's not enough energy for a secondary Maelstrom.
Well, it's going to take him another like 30-40 seconds to maybe get that Maelstrom online. He could utilize that again on the move out. He made that so early on that I actually think he will get value with it still. The problem is that he's got a pseudo lurker contain to deal with. He needs to identify that now so he can start to bust out preemptively and not allow Soulkey to set up a kill box. He doesn't want to stay locked into his base for too long. He allows for Soulkey to come up here and start soft containing him by sniping observers and being annoying. Soulkey can keep reinforcing this contain. He needs to break out right now to preemptively stop any shenanigans from coming online for Soulkey and force these 2 lurkers away and not let these first 2 packs of Hydras bait out any storms as well.
This is a big, scary push, what we're seeing on a Best right now. That is so many Dragoons, the core of the army that's going to be laying down the DPSs. All of these supporting units get in their storms and hold the line there at the front. Those Zealots going to be tanking a lot of that damage, and Maelstrom is available here once again. Can he make this push work? Behind this, he may try to take a 3rd base, but there are counterattack forces ready from Soulkey. He's willing to just go around and try to snipe this Nexus that's coming up while Best tries to push across the map. Best not pulling the trigger on this push just yet. He definitely doesn't want to lose that. Oh, just lose a Templar here. Great snipe. Great snipe for Soulkey. That's taking a lot of the power out of this push.
That's about all that Best can afford to lose. If he loses any more High Templars for free like that, he's got zero chance at beating Soulkey's army. Soulkey's doing a massive transfer of drones down to this 4th base that's come online in the bottom left. He's trying to intercept the army out on the field and not lose too many of his units for free, but some Dragoons are being targeted down. He gets another High Templar. That's a lot of the steam gone from the train of Best. He's going to still try and make an attempt at coming down to his bottom left pocket and force Soulkey to come to him. That's a tight choke to attack into. He's got a shuttle as well that's going to be siphoned off to go for a counter-attack while Soulkey pulls his army back to come and defend this.
Ooh, this shuttle, actually, I don't think it was spotted. That shuttle could get a lot of damage done. This army is tucked really tight into the corner, though. Ooh, the shuttle is actually not spotting that here. Soulkey really focused on trying to shut this down. There's the DT popping out, but the DT is really not going to get too much damage. Army coming up from behind this. The Zealots are just going to run out and fight. A lot of these lurkers get picked off. Pretty good storms here from Best to shut that down. Can he actually get up the ramp, though? There's no Nidus Canal, and a lot of this stuff was killed. Can he get up this ramp and hold that position on the high ground?
So he needs to. Maelstrom coming up to try and help out. He's got the lurker that's borrowed Maelstrom as well. So it's helping him out in these trades a lot. Forcing Soulkey to him might be the ticket he needs to win this game. He's got some reinforcing units wrapping around the back as well. Soulkey is now pincered from both sides, trying to deal with this attack in the bottom left. That might be what Best needs to turn this game around and really start to solidify a lead for himself. There's not much left. It is a Soulkey. Soulkey shaking his head. I don't think he's too happy with how this game has gone. He's got 3 Sunkers and 1 lurker and a single Hydra in his bottom left base. That's it. That's all he's got to defend with. Here's a beautiful storm on those reinforcing Hydras as well. Now the high ground has been secured by Best to make it even harder for Soulkey coming in. He's rallying more and more units, but Best has also got Zealots to intercept those reinforcements and sandbag Soulkey from coming in here and saving this base. I think Best might just be able to kill this base in the bottom left. He's being very tactical about it, just leaving the bare amount of units required to do so while the rest of the forces are holding the line. Soulkey is instead going to rotate around to the center of the map and think about a counterattack, but he knows that if he doesn't secure a full base right now, he's in a lot of trouble. He's going to try and fight this army and keep it pinned in the bottom left. He wants to cut the head of the snake of the Protoss force to get some compensation for losing this base.
Quite a few lurkers down here. A lot of Hydras have been put together. I think Best needs to actually retreat to high ground here without any spellcasts, without any storms or dark archons. He's going to be losing this army almost for free. Very easy to just surround that and kill it with pure Hydra. But back at home, what does Best have for this counterattack? Not a whole lot here, but he is sitting on 3 bases. As long as the game state continues as it stands, he's going to be in a great position. Soulkey trying to get another base online, but he can't afford to switch into Hive right now. And a DT going to come in here, potentially start to try and deny this base. No, it's going to run away, go up towards the top right, make sure that no further bases can come online here for Soulkey.
Oh, Best is going to try and pull back the attention from Soulkey while this massive force starts to move out. He can do another attempt at pincering this army from behind. There's quite a lot of lurkers in it, so if Soulkey could get these into a better position, he would be able to fight this army head on, but in a tight little choke where he was at, it's very difficult to attack into Best, so he's going to wisely pull back the tactical retreat, although Best baits him in yet again. This is what he does in Protoss versus Terran. Now he's doing it versus Zerg as well. He's trying to, transition the skills from his versus Terran specialty into versus Zerg and how he engages and tactically outmaneuvers his opponent. He's doing that here today as well, baiting the champion into unfavorable trades. Does manage to kill the majority of those lurkers. 4th base now, the 12 o'clock has just come online for Soulkey now, but so far he has slowed down the points of transition for Soulkey in this game and made it harder for him to get that base online, with the 4th base of his own coming at 6.
Wow, that was really professionally done from Best. The footsies back and forth between the two, and then Best, sensing a bit of an overextension, dives in on top of that army. He did throw away a lot of units there, but he took a very good fight. Now going to be able to hold out here in the middle of the map. There's so many dragons here. He's got to spend the storms. What the heck? Those storms were not all spent. I think there was enough energy on some of those to keep spending the storms. And look at this. Hydra, pure Hydra versus Dragoons. A lot of these are going to start to go down. Here's the macro of Best coming online, though. Some more Zealots coming up to the front just in the nick of time to start pushing this back.
and Soulkey shuts down the Dark Temple at 12 o'clock. That was another lifeline for Best. Looks like he will hold the line and get his own 4th base up, so overall the game state does still favor Best, but Soulkey definitely had a chance at bowling Best over and limiting how many Dragoons he's got in his standing army. It's much like siege tanks in Protoss versus Terran. If you kill enough of these Dragoons, suddenly a lot of the potency is gone for Best. He's going to go for a counterattack with the natural third of Best right now. If Best can keep his army fluid and moving quickly into response to this, and tonight Soulkey securing the Nexus kill, this will be huge. He's just now starting to engage Soulkey. Soulkey's going to dive in with some Hydra, start targeting down the probes while he's storm dodging back to the bridge. I think Best is not only holding here, but he's in a really great game state. Soulkey did not do enough damage with this attack, and with Best's 4th base online, Soulkey has no transition, there's no hive on the way. This is just pure battle Zerg mode, trying to do damage to Best, and he's not achieving it.
Bit of a mistake there from Best not having one single Templar over at those cannons. It would have been completely denied that attack, but in the end, it actually works out all right for him. The Hydra's overcommitted, and he got a great storm at the end of that fight, kept most of his probes alive, and sitting here at a pretty good advantage. He's going to be taking a fight in the middle of the map again. Soulkey just wailing against this wall here of Protoss. The Dragoons are completely overwhelming. The DPS is just way too high for small groups of Hydras. Oh, these cannons are going to go down. I think that everything's going to get clean, though. Soulkey, I mean, he can't break through here, can he? And the cannons come online. Not going to get enough damage with this, and he has lost all momentum in this game.
That was 3-2 Protoss versus 2-1 Zerg. Soulkey just got 2-2 finished up, +3 will be finishing up momentarily as well. So far, Best was enjoying a very healthy upgrade advantage. That's going to become more narrow as the game progresses. Soulkey needs to hold the line for a lot longer, get that hive. He's actually not got much saturated right now. He's only got 3 bases worth of economy himself. The main is pretty much mined out for Soulkey, so he's only mining on 3 bases. Does a pretty good storm on those eggs. If he does another follow-up storm, he will be able to kill these lurkers before they hatch, but doesn't look like that's going to transpire. Does burrow those lurkers in a panic, though. If there was any more follow-up storms, he would easily smash through this. Soulkey's just going to tap out GG, and Best is going to tie up the series in a macro game. That's a big mojo boost for Best, who storms off the stage, probably go to the bathroom and consult with the Omnisci AI Oracle about whether or not he should do something crazy in the next game.
Woo-wee. Best. That's what I'm talking about, man. This guy is so good in a macro game. He is incredible with his army movement. We really saw it there in that last one. You know, Soulkey was doing a great job of trying to wrap around and kind of trap that army down in bottom left, but Best able to just macro like a madman, get his army into position and threaten the surround on the surround over and over again. Eventually able to take these good fights and outdoes Soulkey in a long game. It's hard to imagine even saying that, you know, in the past year or so. Best has made such huge strides in his play overall, though. He has improved a huge amount, and he's looking, like you said, kind of like how he looks in versus Terran. He's just taking the fights he wants to and out-macroing his opponents.
Yeah, I mean, and these maps are not exactly like Protoss favored as well. Radiant in particular, that's a slightly Zerg favored map, ever so slightly though, by only a few percentiles. So the fact that he's doing this on macro maps versus the champion, and not necessarily making it look easy, but able to outmaneuver him. Like, Best did a really good job of baiting Soulkey into engaging in these tight chokes to keep limiting. Like right now, Soulkey's even on supply. I just want to point that out. Soulkey's actually in a really good position on paper. It's just that Best is outmaneuvering him, and he's taking great positional play advantages to force Soulkey into unfavorable trades like this. And eventually he's kind of out skirmishing Soulkey and, you know, coming out ahead on the curve of the game when he shouldn't. Like, Soulkey has technically a better army a few moments ago. It's just because of how well Best is positioning himself and setting up for rally flanks like this and just absolutely devastating the army of Soulkey and forcing him to play into him rather than playing reactively himself. So far, this is exactly what Best needs to do going forward in this series, and being super confident no matter what happens, and kind of playing it like he does Protoss versus Terran. Even when he's in a bad spot, he can outmaneuver you and pull you into a situation where you think you're the one that's ambushing him and getting on top of his army. But really, he's just positioning your army exactly where he wants it.
Tit for tat, back to back to back to back, guys. It's 2-2. These guys have consistently taken the maps that their opponents have chosen. We're going to be jumping into Best's next map pick. So we'll see if that trend continues here. But either way, we have nearly an entire series, guys. We're going to go all the way to Game 6, no matter what happens. All right, guys, we're going to take a quick break here, since we've got a little bit of downtime. We'll go ahead and take a little bathroom break. Go ahead and grab yourselves another drink. Celebrate with us here as we polish off this season of ASL. An absolutely fantastic season, guys. Don't go anywhere. 5 more minutes. We'll be right back. All right, guys, we are back. It's time for game number 5. I've already got everything I wanted out of this series. We've got a good back and forth going. Now we just need some macro games. And it's going to be a fully successful finals. Honestly, this has just been such a great series. We've had such a good time. Really couldn't ask for more.
It's really wild saying how good ASL Season 19 has been from the start. I mean, the group stages brought us some absolute bangers, and in the round of 8 matches were like their own little finals in their own rights. They increased the best of series in this tournament as well, so there's now best of 7s instead of best of 5s. I think it really does bring a new like angle to these games, a new facet, and conditioning and mental well-being is going to be such a more important factor going forward. So if Soulkey tilts a little bit, it could mean the difference, and that will help Best go with the distance and take it all the way to Game 7 and get potentially a 4-3 victory over him. I don't think it's going to be a 4-2 for Best. I think it has to be a 4-3 with losing Death Valley. So I do think we are going to be going to game number 7.
No, I agree. I agree, Xun. It's going to be super interesting. Deja Vu, Dominator, Polestar. I can't wait to see what we see on Deja Vu. I feel like this is definitely a Protoss favored map, and I think that's the reason why Best picked it.
Here we go, guys. ASL Season 19 Best versus Soulkey. Game number 5 on Deja Vu. Let's get it on.
Best spawning down here in the bottom right. Soulkey in the bottom left. We've got these horizontal spawns, and one last plug here, guys, as we're going into this game. ASL jackets are up for grabs. We're here casting live on SCTVEN. For those of you who are in the chat right now, it's the last possible opportunity to enter to win those ASL jackets. All you need to do is gift 50 gems or 1 gifted sub, and you'll be entered to win that. Get a piece of ASL history, guys. I really wish that Xun and I were able to compete in that as well, or to take part in that as well, because I would love to get my hands on one of those jackets.
Obviously we can't, because then it would, call into question the integrity of that raffle, but I'm super envious of you guys. Like, I'm kind of rolling my eyes at the fact that I won't get a chance to get it, because we don't usually have that opportunity. Usually in the foreigner scene, at least in the post-Kesper era, it's been almost impossible to get our hands on any kind of official ASL merch like that, especially in the foreigner scene. So you guys are really lucky and should take advantage of that. And it's 50 gems per entry, so 100 gems would put 2 names into the hat. So it's like the Hunger Games, the more bread you throw at us, the more chances you've got of being selected.
Looks like another overpool here from Soulkey. Gonna be keeping it safe. Not opening with that 12 patch at the 3rd like I expected this series. Really not going for that at all. So having a bit of a different approach to the games here versus Best, and just making sure he's got enough lings and enough defenses to deal with Best's early game, which has been it's been good sometimes. Occasionally it's been a little rough though, especially with that game on Death Valley.
Yeah, I mean, with the game on Snowhat versus Soulkey on this map, he did seem like Soulkey, seemed a little bit uncomfortable and was really desperate to get the battle zone going to try and find some damage against Snow, and Snow was able to outmaneuver him as a result. I wonder with these horizontal spawns, if Soulkey's maybe thinking about an early Spire play and trying to maybe go for an Ogre Zerg here and try and use 3 bases to try and take out Best early on, because he can't really expand to 6 o'clock as his third. It's really annoying for Soulkey to play this configuration with these horizontal spawns. The only thing that's an advantage to him is the short rush distance by air leading to Best. So he could go for a Mutalisk based play and try and bowl Best over in this game early with kind of like an Ogre Zerg style, utilizing Mutas and Scourge early on to find a bust timing. That could be a play. So far he's expanded to the natural third in the northwest quadrant of the map, expanding vertically, which doesn't necessarily mean he is playing a macro game, but he certainly can't really take this 6 o'clock position without being punished by Best either.
Yeah, it's a rough spot. It's just such a long walk distance between your natural and your third here for Soulkey. There could definitely be some options for Best to get in there and do a little early damage to that, sending the Zealots around the map. You know, you get a Zealot into that third, the Lings have to run up there to defend, and then you get one into the natural. Running all the way back to deal with it can be really tough. So we'll see if Best opts for another, 2 gateway in the natural style of play, try to get lots of Zealots out, or if he just wants to play more normal. It's kind of looking like a more normal game from Best this time. He's got the Overlords near his base, and he knows that probably Soulkey going to send one of those in again to get that information early.
Yeah, I'm really curious what Soulkey will be going for in this game. He did seem a little bit frustrated with how things went down on Radiant, and this map is a little bit more tricky to navigate for Zerg than Radiant, so I imagine he's got something specific planned to overcome the geometry deficit of this map, especially with the spawns being what they are. Very standard Stargate timing from Best. It's about as early as you can get it while not being super crazy with your early investment. Will allow him to get a Corsair Scout early on to see exactly what Soulkey will be going for here. These speedlings don't necessarily mean shenanigans from Soulkey, but he might get a run by potential. There's only one probe blocking right now. He's about to dive in. If Best doesn't pull an additional probe, he might lose this probe. And the run by still takes place. The Zealot's not perfectly blocking that, unfortunately. Soulkey gets in with at least 5 or 6 Zerglings. Cannon immediately goes down in the main. He needs to surround that with probes to not let that go down and not lose any probes to these Zerglings. Soulkey going to wisely target this pylon, put a clock on that, force the probes to come off the line. He's doing damage indirectly by making the probes be pulled like that, by losing mining time. Does get a gas probe as well. 2 Zealots are hitting this third hatchery. Some more Zerglings are being made for Soulkey to go clean up those 2 Zealots, so he won't be able to do any follow-up Ling run bys, but this is pretty good damage from Soulkey. He's killed the Zealot a few probes and denied a lot of mining time.
Well, this is a lot of Lings that Soulkey made. Maybe reacting a bit. This is so many Lings, dude. He's really limiting his drone count by a lot, and yeah, this is in addition to the Lings that ended up running by. Not a lot of probes went down in this, and look at that. He's actually going to clear out a lot of these Lings as well. Dude, Best, I mean, despite having that run by kind of throwing him off a bit, he's looking very good right now. He's even going to get in here, start to kill some Overlords. Didn't see exactly the timing on that Spire, but assuming he gets one Overlord kill and gets out, Best is going to have a great spot.
With the Ling speed being made first and the amount of Lings he made, he should kill at least one Overlord, maybe even a second, say, and that's the crazy thing. Like, this is how slow the Spire will be. Because of the early investment from Soulkey into that Ling speed and that many Zerglings, he might just barely kill this Overlord. The Scourge will be popping out any second, though, so he probably should run away just in case, and he is going to do that. He's going to play it safe rather than take any gambles and come and kill this much easier to kill Overlord closer to his main base. It's definitely a safer option here from Best.
If I'm Best, I'm feeling like we need to start throwing down some extra cannons here. I think that Soulkey might try to all in if he's been damaged this badly. Zerg player, it's so tempting to just try to go for it. Build a bunch of high just to try to break through when you're in such a difficult spot. Best, he knows what a good position he's in. He's just going to be looking for what kind of all-in is coming and how he can counter that and just get himself into a good spot. Just keep this ball rolling here and don't let Soulkey throw him off.
Yeah, he's going to try and maybe force a few additional pairs of Zerglings out from Soulkey, preventing a transition into more drones to keep him on that low drone count. He's currently got 5 hatcheries with a production coming online, but he's still making mostly Zerglings. He's not really saturating his minerals. We've got +1 weapons for these Zealots now as well, so they can start two-shotting these Zerglings on top of it all. Soulkey not really feeling super comfortable. He's got the bare minimum saturation in this game. If he can keep Best locked in his base for a little bit of time and worried about a potential cleanup on these Zealots, if he wraps around with the Zerglings and the Hydras assisting at the same time, he can maybe start to fight this Zealot force. But he could also just wait for these Zealots to come out onto the map and then go for a massive run by. He knows there's only like 2 cannons worth of defense here, but a third is going to be finishing. So Best is kind of hedging his bets and making sure that something like this counterattack won't be too successful. Hopefully a Zealot's about to pop out to help defend that, because Soulkey's going to go for that counterattack potentially right now.
I really like this from Best. I mean, the 3 cannons there in the natural is so hard to break. The Zealot's not in position though, and the Lings are going to run straight by. Ooh, the Lings getting on top and adding on the DPS is huge, but the DT, oh, the DT pops out just in time, and he's not going to lose anything aside from those 3 cannons. Most of the probes will live, and now he can bring the Zealots back home. That clutch DT hanging in there for Best. We're going to have a surround of Hydras on all of these forces, but the Overlord will certainly go down. Only 1 Corsair was lost there, so he has to fall back. He can't push the issue here. Looks like Soulkey going to try and run forward, maybe try to snipe another cannon or 2. Oh gosh, these Zealots actually need to get to work on this.
Yeah.
Start hitting these Hydras. 2 cannons go down. Can't possibly lose a third, right? Almost going to lose his 3rd cannon.
I don't think he cancelled it either, so he's losing a lot of the minerals here. Best trying to hold the line. Overlord finally getting back into position. Runs the Dark Templar to the west, though, to get outside the vision range. Does finally lose that after getting 1 Warblade connection onto those Hydras. There's just barely enough Zealots to buy time for these cannons to finish up, but Soulkey still has the timing to bust this. This is not over yet for Best. He has to hold the line still. Soulkey will about to pull the trigger on running in here and start popping these cannons in a few moments, potentially. He's got the 4th one now warping in, so Soulkey might now relegate himself to killing the wall only and trying to get a snipe on the forge after killing the gateway. We've got 2 Templars that have just popped out. It's going to take a few more seconds before the energy comes online for those first 2 storms. This is a crazy game. I actually like Best game state a lot if he doesn't lose anything additionally, because honestly, like, Soulkey has almost no saturation back at home, and the Corsairs see exactly how low the drone count is for Soulkey back there.
Yeah, I don't see how Soulkey can stabilize here. Best is going to make a ton of Zealots, and he's just going to keep the pedal to the floor, keep on hitting Soulkey, forcing him to continuously make Hydras and never get into a full drone saturation. This is a really hard position for Soulkey. You're going to see a massive amount of Zealots come out here in a moment, and with some Templar support as well. There may be a Mutalist transition. That is a possibility. Maybe he can hold things back with Mutas, snipe some Templar, and he does have about 4 or 5 of those right now, but there's still Corsairs rotating around. He's going to have about 4 Corsairs ready for this fight. Is getting forced back for the moment. Maybe this buys enough time for Soulkey to keep in this game.
I'm getting some nerd chills saying I'm kind of blown away by how intense it is. Please don't lose your Corsairs for free. Best move them. Stay moving. Ho, 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 ho. He's going to lose probably 1 to the splash of those glaives, though. It's so low. The splash doesn't barely kill it. Survives with 1 HP. Yes, indeed, it does. Confirmed by the Observer. Really lucky there from Best that he got a tick of shield regeneration, so that Mutaglaive bounce didn't actually finish off that Corsair. And he still has the potential to one-shot these Scourge, despite not having a high count of Corsairs with that +1 upgrade in the air. Oh, it's going to be such an interesting series. If somehow Best can close this out, I mean, he needs to. Like, the only way he can probably win this whole series, if he wins here on Deja Vu and takes a bit of a tempo lead. After losing Death Valley, he has to kind of upset one of these future games to go the distance and take the whole thing down.
This is his best opportunity to get another win over Soulkey. He's got the gateways online. Soulkey's been hammering out some drones in preparation for this upcoming attack, but he doesn't have what it takes right now to get another base online. He's just kind of sitting here in preparation for this push out. and isn't growing at the moment. Here comes the Corsairs. That's so many Corsairs. Oh, there's the Lurker. Dude, if he can get on top of these Lurkers right here, right now, forces the cancel. Dude, he lost a lot of money for that. And he's lost the time morphing as well. So Soulkey's going to be shoved back quite heavily. If Best just goes straight across, there's not going to be hardly any Lurkers to start defending this. A Probe heading over towards this third base. He's going to take that behind his bush. There's the Lurkers morphing once again in the middle of the map. And the Mutas are going to be chased all the way up here into the top corner. Best kind of losing track of those for now. Looks like he's going to rotate back around. He is going to find those in the end. Not quite ready to push directly towards Soulkey just yet. But this is a scary, scary moment for Soulkey, man. He's got Lurkers morphing, and once the Dragoons get on top of that with Storms, you can end up losing absolutely everything very quickly.
Oh, the chase might occur. The neutron flares killing the majority of those Mutas. Only 3 are going to make it out of low HP. The Dragoons also killed one of those Mutalisks on the escape vector. Now Soulkey has his army positioned to the center of the board to see if he can get a wraparound on this Protoss force right now and stop it from getting into a favorable trading position. But it looks like that Soulkey wants to be careful about this. He knows he needs a full pincer and wrap around from the other side to get High Templar snipes with this small pack of Hydras. Best needs to be careful though not to sacrifice too many of these High Templars. He does lose 2 of them actually, really quick snipes. Maybe at the, oh no, he lost 3 High Templars to like 8 Hydras. That is not ideal at all for Best. Exactly what Soulkey needs to stay in this game. He is still going to be on Battle Zerg mode, making pretty much nothing but Mutalisk Hydras and Lurkers in this game. Another attempt here from Soulkey on the northern flank to try and get some good trades. There's a tight choke point though on this donut ring. Soulkey now with more units coming from the south side to intercept the rally points as well. Best needs to stay fluid with his army control. Corsairs also trying to ravage the Overlords back at home to keep some of Soulkey's army pinned back from reinforcing, because he needs to defend his Overlords too.
Targeting down these Dragoons whenever he gets the chance. He's managed to kill so many Templar. There's only 1 Templar left in this army. 2 Storms are available. A lot of the Lurkers are very stacked up, but he's got to be careful with this force. He cannot be losing this army right now, and Soulkey is pulling him back and forth Best. That Templar is dangerously far out. Got to be very careful with it. Some Hydras hiding out behind those mineral patches could just send 1 Zealot to deal with it, but there's so much going on right now. Oh, it's such a scary moment here. He loses the Templar. The Templar goes down. Dude, this could be a kill here. He is going to town. He loses the other Templar. Oh no, the Templars go down. Best not able to get the Storms that he needed, and the Hydras are pushing everything back here. He's going to come down this ramp into this tight choke. The tight choke is death for Zerg players if there is a Storm available, but there's no Storm left. He's going on top of this Nexus. The Nexus is going to go down here, Xun. The Battle Zerg is working out for Soulkey. Oh, the Nexus is so close. He might just barely be able to save it, but still, with no Templar, these Lurkers are so stacked, they're just going to rip these Zealots to shreds.
Soulkey was rowing Best boat merrily down the stream. Can he take it all the way? Will life be just a dream for him too? Best is holding the line. He's keeping the Nexus alive for the time being, reinforcing Zealots from behind. He's still got 2 observers to spot all these Lurkers as well. So he is technically holding here. DT as well going to work on those 2 Lurkers that are now trying to target down the High Templar. Do manage to get a kill on that. There's so many more Hydras reinforcing this position and no Storm left to come and deal with that. There's 2 High Templars that are just now banking enough energy to start fighting this back. There is a Dark Templar as well. There's no Overlord to spot, but a beautiful Storm blanketing those Hydras. The High Templar does get targeted down though. They're somehow keeping this Nexus alive. When all said and done, if Best can just keep this base online, he will be potentially taking this game. Soulkey knows it. Soulkey is desperate to flank from the other side. He's got another force coming in. Best has nothing to defend against this. He might get the snipe on the Nexus then.
Oh, the Nexus, no, Best, he had it. He held it. All this attack, all this aggression, he held everything, but he loses the Nexus again. Are you kidding me? This is wild. I can't believe Best left that Nexus with nothing to defend.
That's absolutely wild. He didn't check the flank either. At least sent 1 Zealot up there to spot for a potential counterattack, and just, yeah, so unfortunate. There's only +2 attack upgrades on these Hydras. He's in pure Battle Zerg mode, trying to outmaneuver Best in this game. and they're certainly getting the better of it, even getting a lot of hits on these Corsairs that are still sharking around. It's so unfortunate for Best. Mutalis's going to be spotting the exact timing of that Nexus as well. Best will be in full defensive mode to get that set up yet again. It's really problematic because now Soulkey can just expand and transition as normal and kind of, equalize all of the deficits he previously had, get a few more drones and get his tech back online. There is a Dark Templar actually here in the top left. That's a big win for Best. If he somehow has enough DPS in that Warblade to kill, he does actually get a cancel on that hatchery. He has to cancel and run the drone away for another day to get that back up and running again. So Best is still in this game, but it's going to be a tall order.
All right, pretty good storm there. Gotta avoid those high Templar snipes with the Hydras. Losing quite a few of these Zealots here at the front. Lurker gonna get targeted down immediately though. Does end up losing that Observer. Some Dragoons on the other side. Pulling them back and forth, back and forth. That's a great storm. Another great follow-up storm. Some Templar go down, but Best retaining a lot of this and actually getting ahead in supply now, getting this third base online, and he's still denying the fourth base. There's no fourth base for Soulkey, so he doesn't really have much of a future. However, Best just ran out of money in his natural and his main, dude. He is completely stuck on one base. Soulkey gonna start to mine out as well, though, on these three bases, albeit a bit slower. It's gonna take a little bit more time, but eventually he is gonna start to mine out as well.
Yeah, Soulkey cleaning up that low HP Dark Templar. Doesn't have to worry about that being an active threat anymore. Just has to execute on bowling over this Protoss player who's currently having to fight on two fronts. He knows there's a flank potential that will come in and hit this third, but he also has to protect his rally point. He's got two small contingencies of his main battle line set up on both sides of this donut ring. Soulkey knows it as well. He's going to try and exploit it as much as possible and hit one side really hard with a flanking army set up to snipe high Templars and be annoying. If Best was to come out of position and reinforce one of these sides, he could then do a run by into this third base. So both players kind of in a tactical stalemate currently, while Soulkey powers up, just now getting another expansion online. So Soulkey gonna double expand, try and get 5 bases set up and put a clock on Best so that these 3 bases for Best won't be able to fully come online and devastate him later on. Best will have a very hard time in getting a 4th base set up with how far it is to secure that. Soulkey, if he can somehow defend by attacking right now and get these bases saturated, it'll be very difficult for Best to overcome the base count deficit like that. That's why Soulkey's being so active out on the map, because sometimes the best form of defense is offense.
Well, Soulkey has to get double expansion right now. If he got 1 expand, then all 3 of his bases would be mining out shortly here, and he would be stuck on 1 base. So getting that double expand is absolutely necessary. He's going to transfer his drones around to start making use of that, but he'll be, again, on 2 bases here before long. Getting in scouts that bottom center. That bottom center is pretty darn close to where Best's army is right now, so he's just going to head directly towards that. He might be trapping his army a little bit down in this corner and setting up Soulkey for a big surround, but there's a lot of Templar in this army, guys. A lot of storms can be had, and a very tight choke here for Soulkey to try and push through. So it's going to be tough either way. Holding this base is very difficult. Best just allowing a couple of units to come down here to start to kill this. He doesn't want to overcommit though and get completely surrounded. Still, will be tough to dislodge this army either way.
Yeah, that's like Soulkey might want to try and counterattack this army by running in with some Hydras, picking up a few of these High Templars very valuably. Doesn't get enough of a picks on those though. Does storm his own Templar to kind of make up the deficit that Soulkey was unable to acquire from that trade, but when all said and done, this is looking pretty good for Best still. I mean, Soulkey, I would say, has a superior economy because he's got this other base coming online in the top left for the fact of losing that, 6 o'clock position, but it's a little bit slower, so won't be coming online so early. Maybe Best can push northwards now. Maybe think about taking his own 4th base up there while attacking ahead of it so that he can kind of attack and defend at the same time. But the problem is how big this ring is. He can't really commit all of his forces to the northern hemisphere on this map. So his army is currently split in twain, and he's sending the majority of his forces back down to that 6 o'clock position to kill that's coming online yet again. But Soulkey doesn't necessarily need that base. He can just get the natural in the top left and be okay still. Best has to take the top right.
This is kind of cheeky what Soulkey is doing, right? He's allowing that base to go down again and again, and then bringing Hydras to try and snipe Templar that might be coming back up that ramp. Yeah, this is an interesting spot here. Neither player really wanting to commit to a fight. Soulkey did get another base over in that top left, so he's going to be on 2-base mining again as his third starts to run out. His natural and main are already pretty much gone. Another base is coming online here for Best. Top right is going to be his here pretty soon. Soulkey has a very big supply, but it's very hard for him to leverage it here without Defiler and Hive Tech. He's been slowed down on his upgrades as well, right? Look at this. Best has 2-2 done now, and he's going to be going into 3-3 shortly. So Soulkey's going to start to fall behind since his Hive is so late.
I mean, he has got the Hive now finishing up, but it will take a little bit of time for that Plague to finally come online and the Adrenal upgrades to give crack to his Zerglings. Really, you need Plague, though, to make those Zerglings come online in a big way. Especially, it'll be a long time coming before they have any kind of good upgrades on them. There'll be a power spike for Best here when 3-3 finishes up to kind of, try and trade with Soulkey as much as possible before Hive fully finish up. Here we just now see the Defiler Mound at 23:40. So it's going to be another 2 minutes before Plague is done with Consume. Then he can start blanketing these units with chili sauce to kind of make up the deficit of fighting against Storm and getting his Cracklings online finally. There is a lot of army available for Soulkey, so if Best does overextend and pushes northwards on this ring here to the northwest quadrant of the map, Soulkey could engulf him. So Best needs to be extremely careful with how he skirmishes with the Zerg and try and bleed him dry and keep cycling out his storms.
Yeah, I like the way that Best is engaging here now. I think he was sitting a bit too passively for a bit too long. You want to come up, just cast a few storms, and then back up. Make sure that the Templar don't get sniped, and they'll just keep rejuvenating that energy. Getting as much value out of those units as possible is key here. He's starting to push in just a little bit, but, just trading out a couple of units here and there. This is absolutely fine. Utilizing these Dragoons to just hit that damage from long range. Doesn't want the full engagement just yet. As a split army, 3 different positions are being held by Best, and he's holding half the map right now. Again, just great storms, making sure those Templars stay alive, and then backing up once again. Best going to get onto 2 bases economy, and he's going to start to expand up into the top right main base as well, and that's when things start to get quite scary for the Zerg player. Once half the map has been taken by the Protoss, even a little bit less than half the map, it's very hard to win if the opponent has mined all that out.
Right, yeah, Storm basically makes it Protoss favored in the mid game. Once Plague comes online, it becomes pretty Zerg favored, like 60-40 split. But eventually, with the split map from the Protoss and Reavers coming out at each of these bases, it becomes a 50% game in the super late for Protoss as well. Storm going to be blanketing on top of those cannons to try and keep them online as much as possible. Eventually, we'll go down to those Zerglings to open up this position for further counter attack. It seems like Best wants to push the issue now. We have the Dark Swarm out. The Swarm just finished, Consume just finished, but it will take a little bit more time before Plague finally comes online. He needs to trade as much with Soulkey as possible before that Plague upgrade actually does finish, which will be in a few moments here.
Plague at about 26 minutes in is a little bit late, to say the least. Sometimes these orange clouds actually act as big targets for the Protoss player, like Storm here, kind of signal, yeah. And that's kind of what Best is doing, just placing storms down on these big orange clouds and killing a lot of lurkers under there. It looks like another push over in this direction is gonna probably kill a couple of units and start to formulate a bit of a difficult position for Best. This push is probably not much gonna happen with this push, but maybe this reaction from Best opens up a location where Soulkey can counter.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, he has done a good job of pushing the issue right now, starting to leapfrog some of these orange clouds of death, getting the Cheeto dust all over the controller of Best and making it annoying to actually grip that and play. It's almost like a bit of a sensory overload for Best to have to deal with. Eventually, Soulkey can go all the way and start to hit into this natural expansion on maybe the natural third. of Best as well. Cutting off the point of reinforcement by setting up a lurker line underneath these Dark Swarms in this wedge position really does frustrate Best, because he's got to come down and clear this out before he can do any of his own skirmishing in the North Hemisphere.
This skirmishing is going pretty well for Best overall. You can see he's still got a very big army here in the middle of the map. He's going to move down to start to cut off the supply train of Soulkey, making its way over to reinforce this position that he's set up here on the Best side of the map. And he's getting right on top of that, yeah, right on top of the rally point here for Soulkey. Some good storms and some defensive retreats here from Best is actually going to drag a lot of these Lings into the fire of the Archon. 23 kills on that Archon, by the way. And now Storms are here right at the front. He is just smashing through. 60 supply advantage. We haven't even seen a Plague yet, Xun. Really lacking on that Plague upgrade this game.
I have no idea where Plague is. He should have had it by now. And he's only mining on 2 bases versus Best 2 bases. So there's a big timing for Best to go the distance and push the gas pedal all the way down. He's just now starting to saturate the 6 o'clock position right as Best is hitting it. That means Soulkey is locked on mining on these 2 bases in the top left only. And Best has 3 o'clock and this natural expansion in the top right for a time being. Eventually 3 o'clock will become mined out. But for now, Best has enough juice in the orange to keep making a lot of smoothies to keep guzzling down, and eventually he might be able to overwhelm Soulkey. He's got a 50 supply lead currently, and if he doesn't allow Soulkey to get another base online, this is a slow but painful death for Soulkey. Best will just take this main base in the top right now and keep Soulkey locked out from expanding elsewhere.
As long as he's mining on 2 base, Best is going to be happy. Just get that online before his third runs out of money. I think we're about to see the first Plague here on some of this Best army out in the front. Yeah, there's the first Plague. Great Plague. Hits a lot of these Zealots plus some of the Observers. That can be one of the best ways to clear Observers as well, is if you just hit a Plague on all of them. Then you can reveal them all, and then the Hydras can really start to clean them up. Good Dark Swarm here, just keeping back Best for now, but he doesn't need to keep Best back. He needs to get in and actually start to kill Best, pull him apart, and maybe get through into this natural, into this main base, and also get some more bases online, but he's not making any progress.
Yeah, he's just now thrown down another hatchery at 6 o'clock. He's going to have to commit quite a few forces to control this lane. That's why these lurkers are so far forward. He wants to stop Best from rotating around to the 6 o'clock pocket over and over again. He's starting to make more and more Zealots so he can fight underneath these Dark Swarms, which is what he needs to do. If he makes a predominantly Dragoon-based army, he can't really do anything versus these Dark Swarms. So he has to keep his composition as mixed as possible and go back into making Archon Zealot for a while, so that he can deal with the tactical play of Soulkey and have a chance at breaking through these Cheeto clouds and eventually getting on top of that 6 o'clock base yet again and shutting it down. It's just a ticking time bomb here for Soulkey. Like, if he holds the line and gets this base online, he eventually will be able to take this game down by trading Best. But Best knows that if he can keep skirmishing with the Zerg and push into the 6 o'clock pocket over and over again, eventually Soulkey will run dry.
I think it might be time for Best to go look towards ultra late game. Maybe time to get a Dark Archon as well to start feedbacking, yeah, and go to Reaver and put a Robo up in this top right hand corner, get one in the natural as well, and just prepare for the super long game, because I don't think he can crack this base down at bottom center. He's going to try and push forward again, but a lot of this has been plagued, and running his plagued Zealots into lurker fields is kind of how you lose your advantage here as Best.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, Zealot Archon has a lot of power to it, but if there's enough lurkers set up, they just rip through the Zealots, and you can't actually get on top of those lurkers underneath the swarms to kill them. And it seems like there has been enough forces committed by Soulkey in preventing that Zealot Archon attempt from being successful. He's got a few High Templars here to start blanketing the units underneath the Dark Swarm to see if that's going to be enough. But with Plagues covering those Zealots, there's just not going to be enough meat on the bone for him to be able to make this work, and Soulkey will easily chew through him no matter what he throws his way. These little morsel pockets of units will be gobbled up by Soulkey if he commits too deeply. It might be better attempt here from Best to just go super late game, get some Robos and Reavers online, let Soulkey have this base, and then try and take the 12 o'clock himself and win on bases that way. But he's going to make an overtime anyway. He feels like he's got enough, and maybe he does actually. He's breaking through this position very handily. He's got enough Archons as well supporting this to keep going, and maybe kill all of the drones and the hatchery down here. Kind of crazy. I'm really impressed by Best's ability to be this tenacious and make it work. He's rotating around the army from the north hemisphere all the way down now to this 6 o'clock position. He smells blood in the water. He's picked off the hatchery almost. It's just a few more hits to go down, and he will be enjoying a potential victory here. Just 2 bases of economy for Soulkey versus the 2 online bases that are much more fresh for Best in the top right. So now this is a slow but sure death for Soulkey if he can't get another base established.
Ooh, wow. Best actually breaks that 6 o'clock. You gotta be kidding me. There it is, GG.
Wow. Are you kidding me, Saiyan? Are you kidding me?
I mean, Best had a good advantage in that game for a long period of time, but Soulkey just holding on and hanging in there, taking some good trades and just getting those extra snipes. We saw a 32-minute game because of Templar snipes when that two base push was coming out there. And of course, that snipe on the Nexus really dragged things out. I thought that we were actually going to see a full mine out in that last game, guys. It was getting that close.
It was potential, yeah. I mean, I'm getting chills saying Best is doing it. He's currently enjoying a 3-2 lead in this series over Soulkey. If this was a best of 5, it would already be game over for Soulkey and Best would be crowned champion. But it was changed to a best of 7 format for these final stages of the tournament. So he's still got a few games left to play. But now Soulkey's on match point. If Best wins just one more game, he is going to be crowned the first Protoss champion in 7 seasons of ASL. This is absolutely bonkers. Come on, Best. I've been rooting for you since the start of this tournament. I thought this was going to be a very strong chance for you to win the whole thing right from the start. I'm feeling vindicated that he's in the finals alone. If he wins it as well, saying I'm going to be doing mental backflips.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are going to be shocked at that result. We saw at the very beginning of the games here tonight, the crowd was saying like 23% believed in Best. 70, more than 70% of people think that Soulkey's going to take this, but he's down, is not out yet. 2 more wins. He needs to get perfect play from here on in order to win this series and get that 4th title. Can he make it happen?
The pros agree with me, though, saying there was more people thinking that this was going to be a Best victory than Soulkey's. I think it was it 8-6? I think 8 pros thought that Best would win and 6 thought that Soulkey would win. That's crazy. That's completely not what we would expect for them to predict. But I mean, I'm feeling it too. My heart is definitely with Best. I'm still going to be lending him as much energy as possible. Thank you all for your gifted subs and gems in the chat, guys. Just to reiterate, 50 gems for 1 entry, gifted sub for another. There's going to be 2 jackets total, depending on whether or not you donate gems or gifted subs. So everything you do give us is greatly appreciated, and we hope you guys the best of luck in that raffle as well to get this coveted ASL merchandise. We're going to be rotating around to a quick little couple of minutes break here. Run to the bathroom, grab a beer, grab some popcorn. You're going to need it. This ASL Finals is completely nuts.
All right, guys. We're getting here into game number 6. Best is in an advantage. I hate to say it, he's looking fantastic. Don't curse him, Xun. Don't curse him.
I ain't gonna curse him, man. I'm lending this guy as much energy as possible. I can barely talk or think straight right now. Someone give me a sensu bean so I can keep giving him more of this energy.
I mean, his army control has been just wildly good today. He is looking so on point and ready to take down Soulkey. Soulkey looking hard at his screen right now. He knows that this is best map pick. No, excuse me. It's his own map pick coming up next. We've been having these guys lose on their map picks over and over and over again. But Best finally broke that streak. He won on his own map pick and is now out and in the lead. This is an incredible finals, guys. Go out and tell your friend. Let everybody know this is happening right now. ASL finals. We're going to see a new champion here. Match point. It could be this game. It could be going to game number 7. I can't wait to find out.
I mean, either Best wins or it goes to game number 7. Those are the only two eventualities. This is kind of nuts. I'm happy no matter what happens. I really do want Best to win, though. My heart is with him. I've got chills even before the game has started. We see some big breaths from our challenger here on the left. Best, can he go the distance, take it all the way? This is a match point for him right now. Just one of these final 2 games. He needs to stay composed and not let the emotions get to him yet. It's very easy to get emotional when you're ahead in a series like this. He needs to stay locked in and ready.
We're going into this next game on Dominator. Our final match could be on Polestar. That's set number 7. Not sure we'll make it there. Best is looking great. Soulkey looking a little tilted. Hopefully he's got his head on straight here. Can play his absolute best in this last game. It's about to get started, guys. Oh, I can't wait. Let's go.
Here we go. ASL Season 19 Finals Best versus Soulkey. Game number 6. And the map, Dominator. Let's get it, guys.
Best spawning here in the bottom left. We got Soulkey over in the center right. Best taking on Soulkey in the late game. It's so scary. This guy is such a well-rounded Zerg player, but he is well known to be a late game dominator. Like once he gets into Hive play, there's nobody better. And so Best getting into a good spot and then taking him on in the late game, he's been showing some incredible improvement and just a next level of Protoss play.
Well, I talked about it after that Snow versus Soulkey series that I liked Best's chances against Soulkey, not only because Snow made him bleed, but Best is the pun intended, the best macro Protoss we have. His fundamentals are just on a different level. He doesn't rely on any gimmicks or fancy play, really. He just, has superior macro and it can produce more units than most of these other Protoss guys. And he actually has a really good understanding on how to engage. It's not necessarily his micro ability, but more his overall control in terms of how he positions his army, how he takes fights, when he chooses to commit, when he chooses to hang back. That's what really makes him a great player. And it seems like he's got enough of Soulkey's numbers to maybe dial it in and go the distance here, saying he's already locked in for a game number 7 no matter what happens. He's got 2 attempts at closing out this series and taking that coveted ASL championship title and becoming the first Protoss champion since season 12.
Either way, history is going to be made here today, guys. 4 in a row, or the first ASL victory for Best. What's it going to be? I cannot wait to see. We've got a overpool here for Soulkey. Gonna have to make double cannon back at home. Best doesn't want to get broken here. knowing that these lings are going to be hatching out of the eggs any moment. Needs to make sure he's got enough defenses back at home, and he will. These cannons are going to finish up just in the nick of time. Can't really slow down these lings too much with the probe, but these are going to be finishing up here, and 2 cannons will completely deny this. Best already looking to be in a pretty reasonable spot here. The fact that he's able to deny these lings, and as many as there have been made, Soulkey's going to be feeling a lot of pressure now in this game. He's kind of opted into this, but it's still a tough spot.
Yeah, it's still fairly even, obviously. Like, 6 lings versus 2 cannon investment. Pretty even on the power scaling of things, but it does slow down Soulkey's macro engine to have to not make as many drones early on. Takes away a lot of the potential sting that he could be sending Best way in the coming phases of the game. He could still go for a 9-7-3 here. If he makes a Hydra Den within the next 10 minutes, which is when would be the next 10 seconds would be the optimal timing. Around 3 minutes 30 is a good time to throw down on that Hydra Den. Looks like he's not going for it though. Might just be a lair or a speed first. It's gonna be a lair first instead of speed, so gonna try and optimize for a tech timing here and get a fairly early spire. He didn't do that in those other games. He was going ling speed into lair. So it seems like he wants to get a lair slightly earlier on.
Interesting, the spot where he decided to take his third. Soulkey taking it over up there in the top right-hand corner. It's a very far distance from his natural. It's also further away from the Protoss player as well, but there can be some difficulties if the Protoss starts sliding the Zealots around the top side and sneaking them in towards the third, pulling all your lings over to that location, and then Zealots start to come into the natural. Things can get a little out of control. A lot of Zerg players prefer to have the hatchery a little closer to their natural, even though it is closer to the Protoss as well.
Right, and he only just now started his ling speed at like the 4-minute mark, so there was some potential for Best to be a little bit crazy with these initial 2 Zealots, and for Soulkey to have to run back and forth between the natural and the third might have been problematic for him. But as it stands, Best hasn't committed too much out on the map. He's just now sending out that second Zealot. Ling speed will be finishing up soon enough to deal with that before the hatchery could go down, of course, so eventually he will get up there and defend that, but he's mainly focused on not letting this probe get into the main base. So there is a small window for those 2 Zealot hit squad to make their way to that third base location. Ling speed will be finishing up around about the time he kills the probe finally, because he might actually need the ling speed to finish off the probe.
Yeah, these 2 Zealots will get up over to the third base. Ling speed is coming online now. It looks like he's going to obfuscate a little bit, try to hide these over towards that fourth. He's actually going to just barely get through the vision of Soulkey. Will be spotted now coming up onto this ramp. That's quite a few lings. He's going to break some of them off to make sure that a counterattack isn't coming towards this natural. The rest will be sent up here to try and deal with this. First Corsair is going to be popping out here in the moment. That's quite a few lings, but he's making an adequate number here to deal with the Zealots and make sure that no run-bys happen and just get into his macro game.
This is an interesting metagame from Best. So he's forced Soulkey to make the usual amount of like a control group of Zerglings to be safe, but now he's hiding behind the mineral fields at a point where there's only one area to attack, so he can only do 2-on-1 trades against those Zealots at best, which means he can't really come in there and trade this off efficiently. You see how like it's 2 Zerglings versus 1 Zealot the entire time. He can't come from both sides and clean up the final Zealot with a 4-on-1 trade from 2 on either side. So Best trying to do a little bit of an optimized metagame and getting some efficient trades with those 2 Zealots to, you know, basically kill as many of those Zerglings off as possible with as few units as possible. Seems like Soulkey does a pretty good job of ensuring he kills those Zealots regardless, but now these future Zealots will have a bit more lifeline afforded to them and maybe force a few additional pairs of Zerglings that Soulkey didn't want to have to make.
Watching carefully the gas timings here. No third gas just yet for Soulkey, but he may be wanting to go for another Mutalisk play regardless. Could be adding on that third gas just a little bit later after getting these hatches online and getting a couple of sunken colonies out. So far, no Hydra Den either. Sunkens are starting to be produced, so I think we are going to see at least the base 5 mutas to hold back these Zealots. And then we're going to be going into possibly a Hydra transition after that. Best is going to get into this third base kind of unhindered, but there are drones here ready to fight. Plus the the run by into the natural is pretty good. Getting it on top of this sunken colony. Can he actually kill that? So he might just barely kill the sunken colony, but won't get too many drone kills after the fact.
Yeah, it's not going to be too much direct damage to Soulkey, but opening up that attack additionally will force him to at least commit one more drone into making the sunken. So it's effectively two drone kills because of the money required to make the sunken and losing the drone to make it. So it's pretty good indirect damage there from Best, despite not killing too many of those drones. Of course, a little bit lost mining time to drill that as well. When all said and done, though, Soulkey can be feeling pretty good about those trades. Killing that many Zealots early on means there's not really much potency for the Protoss to come out onto the map with like a Zealot Templar timing. So, yeah, I mean, this should be pretty good for Soulkey going forward. I imagine he's going to have the opportunity to make so many drones behind this while these Mutalisks put on some pressure and have a very strong macro game.
Oh, I love it. Dark Archon. Best gonna make it right now. He didn't like continue to just constantly produce a bunch of Corsairs, so he's gonna have to hold on with a storm on top of a lot of these. Dude, that was a great storm there. He's hiding that Templar just above the gateway. Kind of a sneaky spot. Looks like that cannon will go down, but just gonna pull the probes away, get another cannon online. The Dark Archon does not have energy just yet. So it's not ready to deal with this, but he should be able to bring another Templar down here shortly, maybe just make a round of Dragoons to push this away. It is forcing a lot of lost mining time, though. In the end, Best is going to be losing quite a bit of money for this.
Yeah, we have +1 flyer carapace for these Zerg forces as well to make them have more potency in dealing with any Corsairs or what have you. So definitely threatening a lot of damage potential with these Mutalisks in the end. And I'm mining for this long in the main base is pretty huge for Best. He's going to try and resecure his main now with a few Dragoons. It looked like he was actually manually targeting with his cannon, by the way, on those 2 low HP Mutalisks. It was actually insane for Best to be that dialed in to manually left click on all the mutas and find the weak ones so that his cannon can manually kill those off and make it easier to kick out the mutas with Dragoons alone. Zealots coming out onto the map to try and play distraction and keep Soulkey on the back foot for a few precious seconds, chasing those Zealots down with the Mutalisks so he can stabilize in his main base and get mining back online. Dragoon range will be finishing up soon. The Singularity Charge upgrade will actually allow these Dragoons to do what they need to do correctly in this game. Has a Dark Archon with the energy required for that Maelstrom, so if Soulkey does dive in to the main base in a few moments and gets all this block of mutas caught by that Maelstrom, that could be a very big tempo shift for Best.
Fourth base on the way here for Soulkey, and he's getting the double Evo chamber going, so he's ready to switch this over immediately. Not going to get the vision. Does not get the vision on that Dark Archon, so still an opportunity to snipe there. I wanted to say that storm on the mutas was excellent, but sometimes it can be better to just wait for the Scourge to come in, storm the Scourge, and then the Corsairs can help the cannons to hold off. So that did work out okay for Best, but still, it could have been a little bit better of a trade there. Now the mutas are flying back in. Are they going to stick together in this big clump and potentially get Maelstrom down? That's what Best is hoping for and what Soulkey is going to be trying to avoid.
Yeah, Scourge have such short view distance, they didn't actually identify that Dark Archon. So now Best has the element of surprise working for him. If Soulkey commits all of these mutas to picking off High Templars and suddenly gets those Maelstrom down, he's going to be in a little trouble expecting to limit the splash damage potential of Best, then getting caught with his pants down would be devastating. He's getting a 4th base online and fully saturated. So we'll have a very potent macro engine behind him, will Soulkey, if he does manage to avoid this Maelstrom combo from wrecking him. Though that still could come online. Best wants to take his 3rd base as soon as possible to feel comfortable in this game. He's going to start to move his army up to that 3rd base location to secure that and start to get maybe a probe up there in a few moments. He could go for a 2-base timing, but it looks like he's geared up to do a bit of a middle-of-the-road approach and make a powerful army, but take a 3rd base soon.
I don't know about this for Best, man. Soulkey is allowed to play his game right now, and it's looking scary. He went straight up into Hive. Did nothing but power drones here for quite some time, utilizing the mutas to just make Best scared. He slowed him down with that, and now he is just rocketing ahead. Absolutely rocketing up the tech tree here. Going to get his defilers online extremely quickly. We saw like 25-minute defiler last time. This time it's going to be, 13-minute defiler. We're going to have, 14-minute plagues out here starting to deal damage and getting rid of all of these health points from the Protoss army extremely early. Like, he's barely going to get his third and possibly just double expand, go to his fourth as well, as this defiler starts to come out.
There's going to be 15-minute plagues as opposed to 14, but the point still stands saying, yeah, it's an astute observation. He will be getting that plague much earlier online in this game, and will be putting Best on the back foot with those trades pretty soon. Best knows that this is the best timing. He's got like maybe 1-2 minutes to go skirmish mode and put a lot of pressure onto Soulkey and start laying siege to the Zerg. That's why Soulkey's being very smart and putting Sunkens on this high ground pizza slice. He knows that Best needs to attack into this rally point and get some damage done before Hyde fully comes online, and he's going to deny that. Look at this defensive setup from Soulkey. He's building a massive iron curtain to surround him right now. He's looking like Soviet Soulkey and then denying any possibility of Best breaking in any of these locations.
Yeah, everything's looking so sewn up for Soulkey. It's interesting, that change on the high ground actually adding a lot of that buildable terrain. Oh! I don't think there was a cancel there. Yeah, all that buildable terrain that was placed out on the high ground there for Dominator, Soulkey making great use out of it by putting a bunch of sunken colonies here and realizing that there's going to be a little bit of an opening for Best to maybe push in as that defiler's coming online. He just sews that up tight, make sure that there's no hope for Best breaking him here, and I think we're going to have to see Best take 4 base and just try to deny a 5th from Soulkey. It's going to be very hard though.
Yeah, I mean, we've got a shuttle going into the main base of Soulkey. He's trying to force Soulkey to trade into these tight little nooks and crannies up here while DTs play distraction in the main base. Going to be killing a lot of these drones. If Soulkey's not looking at that right now, that's going to be huge. He hasn't pulled his drones. He's losing so many of these drones. He's distracted with the effort of Best in this northern hemisphere. The 1-2 punch is working for Best. He kills the majority of those drones. He has Nidus canals set up all over these bases. So he's going to try and target down the spire, but he shouldn't be successful in killing that. But it was still pretty good attempt there from Best to try and siphon off some of the macro engine of Soulkey, but it won't be enough to win the game just yet. He needs to power up on 4 bases and start to really hammer Soulkey. Plague will be online in just a few seconds. He's got this Dark Archon to play point defense for these High Templars so he can keep skirmishing and laying siege to the Zerg. We can get some more additional units into the main base here. There are Mutalisks to defend against that, but he's trying to distract Soulkey over on this pizza slice here, so he doesn't notice this full seller hit squad starting to go into his main in a few seconds.
Does storm down some of his own Templar there. Kind of missing out on some of those hits with the Lurkers. Kind of hard to see them for a moment, but he will get some damage here in the main. Pulling back with the rest of his army and looking to potentially take another base pretty soon. It would be amazing if he could get another base online before Soulkey really starts to come out here and get scary with the defilers and cracklings and upgrades coming online. Soulkey is going to get into that super difficult to defend late game, and Best, he needs to prepare for that as well as possible. The damage in the main is good, but it's not going to stop what's coming.
Yeah, you need to keep killing this mineral only over and over again and denying Soulkey from taking another gas expansion. Then he can make it work by powering up on 4 bases himself. It's still going to be a tall order though once Plague comes online in just a few seconds. He's going to start putting a lot of chili sauce onto these Protoss forces and make them all the more tastier to gobble up. Best is going to try and take his own 5 bases now by taking his little pocket in the top left while trading with Soulkey. Some target fire on these High Templars from the Zerg. It's pretty good from Soulkey, so opening up some of that splash damage potential. It's really hard to deal with this amount of counterattacks that's going to be coming out from the Zerg now. He's going to have a hard time establishing control of this 5th base location. He can't really spread himself too thinly, or he will risk losing his own mineral only later on as well.
We're going to be looking for some feedbacks now. Oh, losing the Templar at the front is pretty rough. He does make an Archon, though. Archon's pretty slick move there, keeping most of those alive. Zealot's fighting here with +2. How are we doing on the armor? 2 armor is done, matching the attack damage. That's actually a really big deal. Now that the Lings can't be 2-shot by the Zealots, you can take a much better trade with those. Lings are actually going to start trading magnificently against these armies, and so he will just be able to send waves and waves of Lings at these armies and constantly get damage from that, hitting these different bases as well, and just sliding out Defilers could actually break locations quite quickly. So that's going to have to be really aware of that. Catching Defilers coming across the map, kind of like a Terran player, just waiting and making sure that there aren't Defilers getting over to any of these bases. And it's going to start to get tough for Best, man. He really does need that +3 upgrade finishing up here soon.
Yeah, it should be on the way, and maybe the next minute or so it should be done. There'll be a tiny window he needs to exploit before Soulkey comes fully online with his own upgrades, but maybe Best can make it work. He's not got that many units defending his own 5th base, though. Soulkey about to launch an attack up there, while Best is also hitting this Gaps expansion from Soulkey, so both players might be sacrificing their 5th base. That's a beautiful storm, though, from Best. He has a high Templar with that Zealot force. Another preemptive storm on these Mutalisks, trying to shut down this shuttle as well. Storms his own shuttle to help out Soulkey. Does manage to get a morph on that Archon, but will eventually lose that to the Mutalisk core. Soulkey, though, relentless in his attempts at coming up to deny this 5th base attempt from Best. He should be able to kill this Nexus. Does force a cancel. Also, Best been able to snipe this hatchery in the bottom right. It's a pretty big deal. Both players kind of stalemate. Was there a storm drop or something at the 12 o'clock? Because Soulkey's got nothing mining in that base right now. He must have pulled his drones for some reason.
Yeah, there was a shuttle over there that was threatening to dive in, but I think Soulkey pulled them preemptively and sent the mutas over there to clean that up and ended up clearing it. Didn't send the mutas back, or didn't send the drones back right away because of all the chaos that was happening at the time. Now this Archon is going to be sniped by these Lings. Some mutas coming in as well, going to start to snipe down some of these Templar, opening up the position for maybe some Lings to come through and deny this base once again. He's already denied it several times here. Best really does need to get this base online now to keep this ball rolling here. Dark Archon could be surrounded and killed. That Dark Archon is kind of key. You need to keep that alive. It's going to be so useful against the Defilers here a little bit later on. Oh, Muta's kind of getting flown in on top of an Archon, get completely sniped down, and so those are out of the picture. Maybe you can start getting some good drops in now, start to Templar storm these bases out of existence.
Well, this is the first proper macro game we've had of the evening. Kind of nuts. +3 weapons just finishing up for Best as well. Has some shield upgrades on the way as well. So he's really setting up for a super late game army, so his Archons will be more relevant. Pretty good storms here to try and hold the line against Soulkey. He desperately needs to get that 5th base online. Here's the first money plague from Soulkey onto the majority of those Dragoon forces to make these trades go even more his way. He's done a great job of shutting Soulkey out from his own 5th base for a long time, but he needs to establish his own dominance in the macro trend of this game. Eventually, he will start to become mined out himself and needs to keep transitioning into more bases of economy and start to take this other main base control away from Soulkey. Is a great way of winning on a 3-player map if you can secure control over 2 of the main base locations. He's starting to lay siege yet again to this 5th base attempt from Soulkey. It's a tight choke to defend, but Soulkey set up a kill box on the high ground with a lot of lurkers to make it very difficult for Best to attack into.
We need to see some feedbacks on some of these Defilers. The Plagues are starting to take their toll. Best has the ability to do so, but hasn't been able to utilize this Dark Archon very well to get those feedbacks out. Now Archon's dying here in the middle. Best a little bit discombobulated as Soulkey tries to come across the map in multiple different directions. That's a lot of lurkers there in the center. Some good storms on that would be quite painful. In fact, just going to back up, get some storms on these Hydras and maybe take a fight from this high ground potentially. Soulkey, he is getting that base online down in bottom right, finally securing his 5th base. He does have a mineral only as well coming online, but 5 base Protoss is nothing to sneeze at. Best is going to be able to go far into the late game. Here's a Dark Swarm right on top of this mineral only, though. That mineral only under threat, while bringing down a lot of forces here. Best needs to hold on to this base right now. Cannot allow this to go down.
He's committing most of his forces to come and clean this up. That could allow Soulkey to cut off the line of reinforcement to the northern hemisphere and launch more and more counterattacks, keeping this army locked in, protecting this mineral only, and Soulkey can start to think about taking this other main base for himself in a few moments here. Could shuffle over some of these lurkers to the high ground pizza slice up there, make it difficult for Best to secure those bases for himself. So far, he's just committed to try and do as much damage. Beautiful Maelstrom on those lurkers before they can burrow, though. And also, I think there's no chance of putting down another Darkstorm here, so Best should secure this territory at least. Soulkey hasn't yet secured the high ground. He's just now setting up to take that high ground away from Best up in that northern hemisphere, which is exactly what he should do. Distract Best's main battle force down on this south region while starting to secure the other main base for himself. And Best, by the time he responds to that, will now have a high ground to attack up into, like we see here.
Yeah, that's a very good move. Distraction at the bottom side of the map, and now Soulkey takes that high ground. Gonna force over and over again Best to attack into lurker positions that have already been set up and properly spread. Very difficult to break those spots. You really want the lurkers to come to you so that they can stack up and take big damage from those storms, but not giving it to him. Here's another feedback. Still not able to kill that Defiler. I think he feedbacked that twice with no energy, so it's still alive. Really do need to get that feedback on as the Defiler's coming forward and before it throws down its storms. Here comes a shuttle. Double shuttle, in fact, moving over towards the top right. He's going for the main base. Gonna maybe split these off, try to get some damage on this very precious spawning pool, and of course try to snipe down the, I was gonna say tech, excuse me. Tech was the word I was looking for. Okay. Getting that Spire would be amazing.
Yeah, Pool and Spire are the main targets here for Best. It's very unlikely you'd have enough time to kill the Hive, but killing off the Pool to stop the cracklings being produced, and the Spire would be key as well. No more Scourge to be made to snipe observers and shuttles and what have you. Looks like a good trade here from Best. Soulkey's really committed to coming into this mineral only, and Best is actually punishing him right now, big time. That's some pretty good trades for Best. Supply still not favoring Best in this game overall, but that's pretty good. Here comes a Periscope to try and shut down this shovel harass. Soulkey, though, double expanding to this other main base in the northern hemisphere after securing that high ground, so putting a clock on Best and making something happen over these coming minutes. He's going to take out this 6 o'clock base from Soulkey, but this is more or less just a bait base. Soulkey's just throwing sacrificial lambs out to the T-Rex that is Best right now and keeping him exactly where he wants him.
Yeah, I don't think the Best can come over here and take top left. I don't think he can take that main, but he can definitely take this space down here, what Soulkey was just trying to secure. Maybe from there he can actually, oh wow, he's still got a storm off with that. That's kind of surprising. Dropping the Templar there with, you know, 2-3 lurkers hitting it all at the same time. I thought that would die immediately, but it does manage to live long enough to cast a storm, getting a little bit more damage here and slowing down Soulkey just a little bit more. Diving in again. Can he get some big storms here? 1 storm goes down, 2 storms, 3 storms. All the drones are gonna die. Oh my goodness.
Did you see that shuttle breaking the ankles of those Scourge as well, juking and jiving, slipping and sliding with that shuttle and still getting it and finding that damage? Best is one of the best, pun intended, in the business at utilizing shuttles with high Templars in all matchups, making it work here today against Soulkey as well. Soulkey getting some nice plays on this army of Best. He's desperate to cling on to these bases in the top left. Best knows that this is now the point of focus. He needs to start making some headway, making some progress on skirmish with his Zerg, laying siege to him and pushing into this northern hemisphere as much as possible. If he can get on top of this pizza slice, it's going to be huge. He knows that these forces aren't too strong, though. He's been plagued enough on these zealots that he would get melted by those subterranean spines off those lurkers under dark swarms. He needs to rotate around and find other opportunities of attack. Maybe getting on top of the Zerg rally point and getting some big storms on those clumps there, taking out the Zerg's mineral only while trying to secure 6 for himself. The Soulkey counter-attacking 6 right now, denying that base from going online as Best starts to push into his mineral only pizza slice.
Yeah, I'm a bit worried for Best not transitioning. He's not getting more Dark Archons. He's not going for Reavers. Yeah. If this was snow right now, we would have definitely seen Reavers employed to start breaking that high ground pizza slice. Instead, we're going to just see more and more drops go get leverage into these bases and try to shut down these locations. 3-3 Zealots rip through sunken colonies. It's very easy to break these sunken colonies, but they're going to buy a tiny bit of time for more Hydras and Lings to make their way down here to start to clear that up. I think he's going to hold on to everything, and Best needs another expansion. He's been denied down here at 6 o'clock while trying to break top center.
I think Best is a little bit frustrated now because he needs to commit his forces to securing the 6 o'clock to expand there, but that means he can't put any more pressure onto Soulkey on that northern hemisphere, and allows Soulkey just to sit back and macro up on those 2 additional fresh bases. Best knows this is a losing game if he takes 6, because even though he's going to get that base online, Soulkey's going to get 3 bases up here. He's going to get these 2 gas expansions and the mineral only potentially. That's a losing game for Protoss right now, so he needs to go on the offensive to the north yet again, but also holding on to 6 o'clock. It's almost impossible for Best to commit himself on 2 fronts like this, and Soulkey knows it. He's masterfully outmaneuvering Best in this game, and without that transition into super late game mode with the Reavers and what have you, it's going to be so impossible to out-trade Soulkey in this game. We got the shuttle sharking around to deny mining and get a good storm on top of these workers. That's some pretty good storms, but it's not going to be enough to win the game.
Yeah, this is a really tough situation for Best. Breaking up this high ground is a near impossibility as long as Soulkey keeps throwing down the Dark Storms and landing plagues on these Zealots. Finally, we're going to see a Reaver. See, having a Reaver down at this bottom center would have allowed him to hold that base. Just get a few cannons online, have a round of Zealots down there, and a Reaver. So difficult to break that position while you're attacking to some of these other spots, but this Reaver's coming out very late. Look at the lines of Zealots just dying here as they try to take this high ground. You can see his supply just plummeting. These Zealots are so low on that HP, and he's wedging himself into an awkward position here where he can easily be surrounded. Soulkey coming down from all different sides. He's going to completely wipe out this army.
Yeah, he's going to completely smash Best in his tracks. Best tilts his head side to side. He knows it's over. Taps out. GG is caught, and we are going to be going to Game 7 in this series. Best just needs to not let it get to him. He just got outplayed in that game. Anything can happen on our final map, Polestar. Definitely slightly more Protoss favored than Dominator is, so he just needs to stay chill, not let that game get to him, and maybe he can still take down this ASL championship title.
Oh, guys, we're getting everything we could have asked for. Santa was very generous this year, guys. Game number 7 in all the semifinals and the final. That is wild. Usually we end up having one or the other. You know, a very good semifinals and a not so great finals, or a awesome finals and a not so great semifinals. Here we're getting everything. We have our cake and we get to eat it too.
Yeah, on the ladder, I would say that Dominator is extremely Zerg favored, and I think at the pro level as well, it's very Zerg favored. I don't know by how much, but at least by 5% or so at the pro level. So that was definitely a map that Soulkey should have won on, just to point that out to you guys. So that's why Best had such a hard time of it. Whereas in this next map coming up, Polestar, it's much more evenly spaced in terms of win rate. And there's a lot of tight chokes and easy to secure gas expansions for Best to make a good game of it. I think that Best has a much more chance of winning on Polestar than Dominator, guys.
Yeah, Polestar, it has that third base that's quite difficult to break into. It's tight chokes on both sides, a little ramp on there as well. Very difficult for a Zerg player to break through there. As long as you leave one Templar and have a few cannons, pretty difficult to smash through that. And so with the easier to take third base, I mean, Best should be able to play it out in a good macro game. I wonder if we're going to see from Soulkey the same thing as on Dominator. They're just immediately into double evolution chamber and going into Hive right away after holding everything with Muta.
Yeah, I hope that Best doesn't choke here in the final game, because he's got such a better chance of winning on Polestar than Dominator. I mean, I just want him to play a good game. I'll forgive him for losing. Just please don't do something crazy and, like, you know, cannon rush and then fall flat on your face, or, you know, 9-9 gate in the center of the map and mess up your micro or something. Yeah. I don't want to see a repeat of that. Please. Soulkey is so good in his early game defense. That's not the way to beat him in in a final match. But I do want to point out that in a final match situation, there usually isn't much of a game plan for either player. Usually it's much more an improvised take on how they should play based on how they're feeling, how the series has gone, and everything else. Like, it's not usually something they plan from the start. They do have an idea of what they could do. They've got some build orders they could go for on that final map, but most of the time they'll be playing with instincts alone.
Guys, one final bathroom break. Rush off, grab whatever you need, get back here as soon as possible. 3 minutes. We're jumping into our final game, game number 7 in the finals of ASL 19. Okay, guys, game number 7 is about to begin. I am completely satisfied at this point. We've had some great macro games. We've had some cheese. We've had some wild games. Great back and forth between these two players, but it's time to end things. A bittersweet end here. We've had so much fun in this series. We've enjoyed every minute, Xun and I.
Yeah.
But it has to end, and we have to see who's the best player in the world. It's down to this one final game. Is it going to be Soulkey, or is it going to be best?
It's been one of the greatest ASLs of all time, saying top 2, I would say. I'm not sure about best, but at least second best, no matter what. A little bit of a neck snap there from best. Ready to get into it. Got a lot of supporters in the crowd here today. Seems like a big expo going on. Lots of other things as well in the background, but most eyes are currently on the StarCraft stage. This is the main event. Look at that trophy. One of these two guys are going to be securing that, lifting that, and probably kissing it in just a few moments. So just one more game between these two titans in this StarCraft scene. Soulkey with his usual pursed lips, contemplating exactly what build he wants to go for on this map. Best needs to stay in it, not let that Dominator game phase him. He knows that's a very Zerg favored map. Somewhere between 5 and 10% at the pro level. On the ladder, it's at least 5%. I'm not sure about the pro level, but it's pretty high. Here we go, though, guys. ASL Season 19, the grand finals between Best and Soulkey. Game number 7. Polestar. Let's get it on.
This is it, guys. Best over here in the top right. Soulkey in the bottom left. This is what it all comes down to. That thousands of hours of practice, contemplation, and strategizing about this series. Trying to make their way through the ASL. All right. That's a poster. That's a guy. His face was actually the poster there. That was interesting. I've never seen someone incorporate their face into part of the cheerful, but that was something else. I had to comment on that.
That was pretty interesting. It was like his face was shattering reality itself. And the sign was just to show the cracks in the Matrix code as his troll face was coming online. We'll have to see what Best wants to go for in this game. He's not making a pylon out on the map, so no crazy 9-9 gates most likely, which I'm kind of happy to see. I do want to see Best play to his strengths and try and get a strong macro game going on Polestar. It's a very good map for macro Protoss. This third base is so easy to secure, this third gas expansion, and there's a very tight chokes to it, so it's easy to bottleneck the Zerg up and take them to a long game with a full base setup. And Zergs have some easy time of surrounding the Protoss in the center of the board, but besides that, there's a lot going for Protoss.
It's looking good here, opening with a Forge fast expand as well. We've got the horizontal natural, so more difficult to bust that open with the Hydra bust, and I think we're not going to see a Hydra bust here. Cross map with Best opening this way. He could still Hydra bust. It's better to go against Forge than against Gateway, but there is that. I think we're not going to see Hydra. I hope we're not going to see any sort of cheese here, man. I want to see these guys go late game.
Right, he did set himself up for a potential cannon rush here with a 12 next, a 12 Forge. It also protects him against something crazy like a 5 pool if that was to come out from Soulkey. Was like a second away from blocking that hatchery with his probe, unfortunately. That would have been a nice slowdown from him. Soulkey going for the usual 4 Zergling opening. He doesn't know whether or not this was Forge or Gateway, so he's trying to hedge his bets, get 4 Zerglings early to one, kill this scouting probe quickly, but also be safe against the possible forward Gateway play from Best.
And he's going to be safe there, spotting with that drone now exactly what's gone on here for Best. He is aware of the build and just focusing on tracking down this probe, making sure that can't just get endless scouting information, constantly checking on what he's doing, and we'll start to obfuscate his build a little bit back at home. See if he can't sneak something out, sneak something around Best. It's been hard so far. Best has been really perceptive. Which is a thing that Snow really did have struggle with in the last finals, right? Or excuse me, the last semifinals. Last season, he was having a hard time with that, but Snow really did up his game. Maybe, like I said, he's been communicating with Best and helping him to really figure out what Soulkey is up to and pick up on those subtle cues as to what's coming.
Yeah, he's done a good job of avoiding disaster in this series. We see Soulkey get a lot of cheap wins that way by catching Protoss players with their pants down with very well thought out timing attacks, ling run-bys, and busts utilizing Mutalisk early to punish small holes in the defenses of the SimCity of the Protoss. So hopefully Best can avoid disaster in this final game as well. Seems like we are going to be seeing a fairly normal style from both players. Neither one of them blinking and going for something super all-in to try and make an easier game state to manage. Best needs to just stay locked in, find his ebb and flow, and not let anything phase him. It's a pretty slightly faster Stargate than usual, not by much, only a couple of seconds fast. That could even just be due to how well optimized his minerals are this game, that it's a few seconds ahead of schedule. And with cross map in mind, maybe it's been calculated that way so that the Corsair can identify exactly what's going on, because it has got a few extra seconds of distance to cover on the diagonal axis to find out what Soulkey's doing.
That slippery probe just getting finally picked off as the link speed comes online. We'll be going for a pretty standard build here with the +1 air attack. Still hasn't started his +1 attack yet, but about 5 minutes 10, that should be coming online, getting started as Best sends that Corsair across the map. Going to check and see what Soulkey is up to. He's going to find nothing out of the ordinary here just yet. Soulkey droning up behind this early game defense and just getting ready for this next stage of the game.
So Soulkey doing something cheeky here. Like, he's got the very fast Hydra Den. Like, he wants to either lurk or contain. But since he's not got a second gas, it's making me think that this might be a full hatch Hydra pre-storm bust timing. With how he's set up right now, this is interesting. He could just be getting the speed upgrade on this lair and then transitioning into a fast speed and range on these Hydras, and might try and attack Best just before the storm at about 8 minutes 30. We'll have to see how many Hydras he wants to commit. He should make at least 2 for the initial Corsair. We'll have to see if he wants to make any more than that.
Wait, you're right. No Spire. Oh my gosh.
Right.
That's crazy.
Yeah, he might be doing something cheeky here.
Yeah, that is quite surprising. Really did look like he was just looking for a normal game, but with the layer plus Hydra Den, it's definitely something out of the ordinary, and Best is going to be having alarm bells ringing here. He went through, scouted everything. He can actually come back and keep scouting, just keep figuring out this information, but he'd rather search around the outside of the map, try to find some overlords, and he will find this overlord over in the top left. It's just, I think we're going to be having, you know, a very quick overlord speed, so he could do some sort of bust here, and it's going to be wild. I'm not sure what's coming, but we're going to see here in just a couple of minutes as the next couple of upgrades finish for Soulkey.
I think it might be potentially a lurker, either a lurker contain or just a pre-storm Hydra bust. It's got to be one of those two things. It doesn't really make sense if it's neither of them. So this is either going to be just a massive amount of Hydras that are about to flood out from Soulkey, and he tries to hit Best at around 8 minutes just before Storm's finishing up. Or he could also have rushed into Lurker aspect and start morphing in a few Lurkers quite early on in this game and force Best to be locked into his base for quite some time. I think it's more likely going to be the Hydra Bust variant rather than the Lurker, just based on how late the second gas was.
Look at how late this Hydra speed is. Like, there's still no Hydra speed here. It just doesn't make sense. Okay, there's the Hydra speed. But did he get range first? Did he get range first?
I don't know. Is it either Lurker aspect into speed or range into speed? But it seemed a little bit late. You're right.
Yeah, I mean, he is going to come in now. That Hydra Den's been done for a long time. There's a storm already. Whoa. What a quick storm as well from Best. Holy. Dude, that storm is so fast here. Best really reading this well. I mean, we're scratching our heads here. So what Soulkey's up to? It seems like Best just has it completely dialed in.
This is like, hold my beer, guys. I got this. I don't need to worry about what Soulkey's doing. I've got it dialed in right now. It's going to be a 6-hatch Hydra transition from Soulkey after realizing how early Storm was online. That was so optimized from Best. I'm getting chills. He's doing everything. He opened Stargate quickly, and he got Storm online at 7 minutes 40. That's 50 seconds ahead of schedule. It's crazy saying.
Well, it seems like Soulkey's just going to back up, build Lurker, and go into a 4th base. He's just going to macro up like crazy here. I think he can start to spread a bunch of sunken colonies in the middle, kind of do what he did on Dominator, but there's a lot more area he needs to defend, right? He's got to defend over at the 3rd, he's got to defend the natural, and he's got to defend over here at the 4th. Best is going to be able to kind of push in here. He could also just take 4 bases himself too, right? He could come out and just grab a whole bunch of bases. Really come into his own here in terms of his economic, in terms of his economy. One thing to mention, that +1 was stopped. The +1 was canceled here, so this was very well calculated from Soulkey to get rid of that +1.
Yeah, I'm curious if Best wants to go for a 2-base timing or just do a macro setup here. With the +1 being sniped, it doesn't feel so good going for a timing, but he might be feeling like he has to do something, so he might, try and get these Zealots into the 3rd base and surprise Soulkey with a Zealot set effort here. Could be the ticket that he needs to find some damage in this game. Let's see how much he can get done. He's going to do a run into the... There's no sunken here, actually, Saiyan. There is going to be SimCity to work with, though. All those eggs blocking. He's worried about these Zealots getting caught on the exit. That's why he's running back. He wants to engage these Hydras while the Zealots have a healthy count still. Some Lurker egg blocking from Soulkey to try and disrupt the movements of those Zealots. Going to be forcing them to run away despite having a pretty high count. This is going to be a pretty interesting game. A Dark Harkon actually coming out from Best. So he's worried about a Mutalisk transition. And with the 3 gases of Soulkey, actually 4 gases, it's definitely a possibility.
Sorry, guys. Had a little bit of a lag there. Had to reset the stream, but I think we're at a good level here now, and everything's going to be caught up. Not sure. Sometimes things do go wrong, but I'm going to try to keep it moving. Zealot's going to run by around the side, get over here towards this 6 o'clock. Can't quite slide in there here. Hydras to block everything off, and Soulkey eclipsing the supply. Dude, his macro game is going to be so strong here. He's just set himself up for an insanely powerful late game macro, just like in that last game on Dominator. There's a Dark Archon ready. He does not quite have that Maelstrom energy ready, though. He's going to lose all of the Corsairs. This is a scary situation right now for Best. If he can catch all the mutas, it's going to be big. But, dude, Soulkey's just never allowed that to happen this series. He's always been aware of the Dark Archon, and he just hasn't been losing these for free at all. Let's see if he dives in a little bit overconfidently this time.
I'm a little bit worried for Best. I mean, he kind of needs to catch these mutas with the Maelstrom just to be okay in this game, not even to win it. So he's definitely up against it right now. Soulkey masterfully executing his strategy in this game, forcing Best into a very defensive setup. And because of how much investment was made to slow down his own gateway production, he's made a lot of cannons and a quick tech into Storm that has slowed down his production quite significantly. He's only just now starting to macro up hard at the 12-minute mark, and that means he can't really come out onto the map and take his 3rd base yet. He's kind of waiting for Soulkey to make a mistake, like diving in with these mutas and then catching them with a Maelstrom before pulling the trigger on moving out. And he's got such a bad SimCity in his main base. It's going to be hard for him to shuffle around these Dragoons to defend and get out as well. So Best is having a lot of difficulty in this final game. I don't want to say he's choking necessarily, but he's certainly not having a smooth transition into a mid to late game.
He's having a hard time. Soulkey flying around. Oh, there it is. He catches it. He catches a big group here. That's not all of them. I think he spread out some of the mutas off to the side. Yeah, he kept 6 mutas off to the side. And so did bait that Maelstrom out, but still a pretty decent trade there from Best overall. Getting rid of a good chunk of these mutas, and now they're going to dive into the main base. Dragoons are here. 2 cannons are here as well. Might just barely be able to hold on to this, but it's very hard to get in that position to defend with Dragoons. Here comes some Hydras over towards this 3rd base. This is the 3rd we were talking about that's so choked up. A lot of good Storm coming down on these Hydras. Going to run forward again, try to snipe a 2nd Templar, but dude, eating some of the most glorious Storms here. Best breaking a lot of this Hydra line. Diving in on this 3rd base is maybe going to turn out pretty bad for Soulkey. So many Hydras going down here, and it seems like he's going to still secure this base.
That's another one way to lose StarCraft games, saying is to like try and ram it down preemptively. Sometimes the square peg will not fit through the circle hole, no matter how much force is applied. Although it does look like in this case, Soulkey might better make it work. He's on a wraparound attempt with 3 lurkers, trying to play distraction, allow him to seize high ground advantage, force the cancel on that Nexus. Best is in trouble, and suddenly Best is going to be the one fighting up to the high ground transition, and not having such an easy time of of it. Soulkey might run away with this game. He's got 4 saturated bases to the 2 of best right now. The writing is on the wall for our challenger, and we could be seeing a 4-peat champion being crowned here today. Another Maelstrom coming out onto some of these Hydras. So far, though, Best still having to fight an uphill battle against Soulkey, who's got superior macro right now. Best needs to trade with like a 60+% efficiency rating to have any chance at trading even right now.
Oh, the third over here at the top center is going to be canceled. Oh, I don't think he canceled that, Xun. I don't think he got the cancel. Dude, this is looking really bad for Best. He needs to get this third base online desperately, and I cannot believe that Soulkey broke that initially. There were so many storms. Soulkey was just ramming it down there, and he still had enough. He just had so many Hydras to break through. And again, we're going to see a massive clump of Hydras make their way forward. The storms are great. Are they good enough, though? Best is actually pulling his army down. He actually needs to bring it back up here on the high ground. Another amazing storm up here. But again, is it enough? There's so many Hydras here. So many Hydras are pushing through, and he's running out of Templar. He's running out of Storm. He has to hold this. A great Storm on that corner. Oh my God, Soulkey is just sacking units like nobody else. It's going out of style here, throwing Hydras into Storm, but he's still making it work. Sort of making it work. Maybe Best can still hang on, though.
I mean, he's just now getting mined out in his main base, so he needs this base at all costs. It's lucky that Soulkey didn't find a snipe on that during those trades, because that would be game over for Best. He does have a little bit of lifeline in this game, but he also has to transition into a fast 4th as well. His natural will become mined out in the next minute or so. We'll need to find some kind of counter damage to distract Soulkey long enough to get a 4th base online. He does have this bastion of hope with this 3rd base, but Soulkey's going to take another expansion for himself and keep macroing up to his heart's content and throwing whatever he can at the wall of Best and seeing what sticks. And Best is going to have a hard time splitting his focus between defending this 3rd and taking a 4th. And there's even Defilers now making their way across the map, saying,
dude, Soulkey is absolutely relentless. He's just going to push in with Defiler now. I mean, we've just barely held onto the 3rd base, and there's already going to be Dark
crazy.
Swarm here on this location. He's just gonna push right into that choke again. There's a lot of Dragoons here, but they're not gonna be useful in the slightest. Just standing there and soaking damage is the best they can do for this upcoming fight. More Storms gonna get thrown down. Some Zealots here are gonna hold the line for now, but dude, the writing is on the wall. If Best can't do some sort of massive counterattack, he is just going to be completely knocked out of this game, man. The Dark Storm is right here in front. There's going to be probes starting to go down. The Lurkers are so close to this Nexus. He's going to have to pull everything out of here and go around, try to hit this from behind. He's doing everything he can to break this attack, but the Lurker number is insane. So many Lurkers here. The probes are starting to go down. He has to save the Nexus, and he's losing a ton of workers at the same time. Barely able to break through this, but the Nexus falls so quickly. Dude, I think it's over, guys. This is it.
I think Best has slipped on his own banana peel and is in death throes right now. He tilts his head, hands just scratching at his temple. He knows this is probably over. He's about to type GG. There it is, and Soulkey is gonna be crowned a Bonjour. 4 championship titles back to back. I can't believe how close Best came to doing it as well. Snow took it to game number 7. Best also taking it to game number 7, but couldn't find the closer that he needed. Soulkey is just so good, man. With his macro, he's going to walk over to that podium, grasp that trophy in both hands, lifting it above his head with a big cheeky grin on his face. He knows he kind of avoided disaster there. Luckily, securing securing momentum in this series by winning on Death Valley was really the nail in the coffin for Best. Once he lost on that map, Soulkey just had to go toe for toe with him to eventually close it out 4-3. Polestar was the only real factor of Best winning after losing Death Valley, unfortunately. Dominator is just too much of a Zerg favored map, and it is what it is, guys. After Best lost on Death Valley, the writing was really on the wall for him from there on.
Dude, he should have won that game. I can't believe he messed up with the situation. Two Gateway Zealot coming into the main. He really had a good, solid plan worked out for that map. He should have been able to beat the Lings outside of Soulkey's base and overwhelm one hatch worth of Ling, but he just couldn't make it happen. And the rest of the series is history, guys. History indeed has been made here today. Soulkey, 4-peat ASL champion. Unbelievable. This guy has surpassed all others and dominated this highest of all tournaments for about 2 years in a row. Crazy.
I mean, a Bonjour is essentially someone who does dominate the StarCraft scene for a long time, and that's exactly what Soulkey has done. He's had a very high win percentage. He's now got 4 titles back to back to back to back. This guy is definitely a Bonjour and is deserving of that title. I'll now be addressing him as such from this time forward. There's a very strong possibility of him being dismantled from that status, though, of being a champion. Best and Snow came exceedingly close to knocking him out of this event. And don't get too disheartened, guys. The Snow and Best did manage to Best did manage to secure a seed in the next tournament in the round of 16. So we'll have an easier time of fighting his way through this event the next time coming, and maybe can make it happen that time. We'll also be having people like Flash potentially come back into the scene, as well as Effort. That means there's more ZVZ potential for Soulkey to be eliminated in the future. And if someone like Flash destroys Soulkey in like a round of 8, and then Flash has to fight against Best in the finals, I put my money on Best beating Flash.
Yeah, there's that potential, of course. Flash is that X factor. We don't know what kind of shape he's going to be in. We don't know if he's going to be coming back and dominating the scene again, but he'll have to go through Soulkey, who is just monstrous in ZVT. I wonder what type of style he'll be playing. I'm so curious. I've seen him on streams and, you know, playing in things like Pro League. He's been using a lot of mech style, which is super interesting. I wonder what we're going to see out of that next season, guys. This has been such a pleasure, such a great honor to cast this for you guys. I've loved ASL since the inception and been a big fan of Brood War throughout the Kespa era as well. And I never thought I'd be here casting this for you guys, entertaining you guys like this, but I am overjoyed to be here, and I'm sure you share that sentiment, Xun.
Oh, very much so, Saiyan. It has been a real honor and a privilege to be able to bring you this entire series of a tournament for you guys from start to finish. It's just been an absolute blast to cast and also enjoy these great games. It's been one of the best ASL seasons of all time. I would say top 2 at least. And I would really love to see more great events in the future and be able to bring you that coverage with Saiyan alongside me in that caster booth. We see the champion here now just relishing in awe of his own achievements, because this is basically StarCraft history that's been made today. No one has been able to get 4 titles in a row like that. And this guy does seem motivated to primarily care about the money side of things rather than just the accolades of winning the actual tournament itself. So I imagine in a weird way that will actually keep him coming back for more and playing closer to 100% of his ability going forward. Usually, if you only care about the accolades, once you've gotten a few titles, a few gold medals, your motivation takes a big dip, because that was the thing that was getting you out of bed in the morning. So weirdly, this guy being a little bit greed money, like his namesake, Need Money, does kind of give him more motivation to come back and bring his best each time.
Yeah, we were wondering, is Soulkey still going to be motivated here in ASL season 19 after getting so many wins back to back to back? Is he still going to want it? Is he still going to be hungry for another ASL win? And it turns out, yes. The answer is yes. He absolutely prepared well for this series, and you can see his macro game has not slipped at all in the slightest. We had some great games in this series. I mean, that game we had on Deja Vu was incredible as well. Best showed us some of the craziest top tier Protoss control in the late game. But still, Soulkey, if he just gets into that hive play, almost unbeatable, man. He is so strong.
Yeah, yeah. I really do appreciate that we even get to bring these guys this coverage like this. We'll keep grinding our butts off in the caster booth. We do KCM, SCSL together, and a few other things. So we'll be improving as casters as the years tick by. We've been casting together for a few years now, saying, and we've come a long way in terms of our individual and ability as a duo. And I imagine that the next ASL will be even more dialed in with our cast, despite this season already being such an amazing showing.
Yeah, guys, and if you're wondering about when the next ASL is coming along, it'll be in the fall here in 2025. But until then, we're going to be bringing you more great StarCraft content to tide you guys over. We've got the KCM, which is an ongoing series. Every single week, we're going to be casting it here live on the SCTV EN channel. It'll be going up on my YouTube channel as well. The Soup Duel series is an ongoing thing also. Best of 7 series nearly every day of the week here on SCTV EN as well. I know Xun's been casting BSL also, and
yeah,
there's just tons of great Brood War going on right now. We'll be checking all that out. Also, the SCSL, guys, I almost forgot to mention, we're here on StarCastTV channel right now, so don't forget about the SCSL, a great tournament that we're going to be casting Season 4 and hopefully Season 5 as well.
And just to reiterate for you guys, we will be pretty much doing everything live on souplive.com/SCTVN. So even though the SL is over, we will be doing the SCSL, the KCM, and a bunch of other stuff live on that souplive.com/SCTVEN. Go and follow us over there. And we will probably be doing the majority of our cast at 7 p.m. Korean Standard Time, which is when most of these Korean ASL games were played besides this finals. I had to get up for 6 a.m. to bring you guys this. I only got 2 hours sleep, but it doesn't matter for me. I mean, these games are so hype. I have more than enough energy to bring you guys my best.
I don't know if we're going to get an announcement, anything about the jackets right now, but I'm looking forward to hearing from you guys who ends up winning that. I'm going to be asking for information about it. It's all been organized by Soup, and I was wondering if we're actually going to get the announcement here, the draw, at the end of today, but looks like they're just going to be thanking everybody for coming and handing out the prizes here. We didn't get the big kiss, the big smooch on the trophy there from Soulkey, but he's been on the stage so many times. He's won it so many times. His lips are worn out at this point.
I imagine it's less about the love for the trophy and more about, just getting that title, establishing his dominance, and keep the paychecks rolling in. And I'm sure he's more than happy to keep playing his heart out to achieve such. You guys have got like a few more minutes until the draw will be over. So if there's anyone else out there that hasn't yet done so, you got like a few seconds to give us 50 gems or a gifted sub to put another name in the hat if you really do want to. Totally up to you guys. We do appreciate every single person that has committed to showing us a little bit of love and support and putting their name in the hat and having a chance at getting their hands on one of those 2 coveted jackets. Big luck to every single one of you that has entered. Let me know who does get it. Take some pictures, either with you wearing it or of it on the wall. Either way, I would be happy. I just want to see who gets it. That'd be really cool. It doesn't matter if you haven't got any more gems left over or anything. I'm very thankful and grateful for all of you guys that have supported us here. Please consider also supporting the Patreon as well for StarCastTV. The link will be in the description if you're watching on YouTube. We do love you guys, and we appreciate the opportunity to be here today. I've been Xun, with me Saiyan SC, and we've just been so stoked to bring you guys these casts, and we've got a lot more coming.
Yeah, we have so much going on right now. It's kind of crazy. Oh, maybe we do get the kiss, guys. Hold on.
Ooh.
Hold on. It's not over yet. We're getting a shot of Soulkey here on the screen. Maybe he's gonna just kiss that that 300 or that 30 million won instead. That's what he's
I want to see him
into.
kiss Mr. Soup.
need money up there on the screen. He's pretty happy about that check. But really, it's not about the checks, guys. It's about the prestige here of the tournament. This guy is the hottest commodity in StarCraft right now. He's going to be invited to every single pro league. He's going to be probably coaching a team over at the University League as well. He's going to be in a lot of these KCM events also. So there's plenty of opportunities to earn money through streaming and through all these different events. It's just this event stands above all else in its prestige, and this is the one that lets everybody know who the real best in the world is.
Yeah, I mean, this has just been such a great tournament, saying there's not much more that can be said about it. It really has been one of the best ASLs of all time. I do think it's probably number 2 for me, if not number 1. And next time around, that might be even more crazy if we've got Flash and Effort back in the mix. That's 2 more big chances for Soulkey getting knocked out, guys. Flash is an absolute god. Terran versus pretty much any matchup, especially that TVZ, though. And Effort is just one more Zerg that can take Soulkey out. He's not so good in that mirror matchup. There's definitely a way he can lose. He came close to being knocked out by Hero in a previous ASL recently. So he might not be getting 5 in a row, but he certainly is getting 4 in a row and getting that Bonjour status. So fair play to him. He's taking one last look at the trophy. Is he going to kiss it? The lips are so close. Here it goes. He kisses the trophy, guys. The love is still there for this guy. He finally presses his lips to it, and it certainly is tradition to kiss that trophy. There's the little panoramic view, giving you guys a 360 confirmation that the lips are indeed making contact with the trophy, and we can all be happy that there's still love for StarCraft.
Oh, there's so much love for StarCraft, guys. We can feel it. We can feel your love out there. We really appreciate all the support this season, and we look forward to many more ASL seasons in the future, bringing them to you with joy, with passion, with love for this game. Thank you all so much for watching. It'll never die, Xun. It'll never go away. StarCraft never dies.
It'll never die. It'll never go away. StarCraft is here to stay as an old school retro RTS that will stand the test of time and has already done so, quite frankly. We're seeing a few slideshow shots of some of the emotional roller coaster moments of the tournament. There's Barracks in a bit of anguish. I mean, there's just so many great moments we've had. There's even Scan there. I mean, a fan favorite. It would be great to see more of these guys come back in the next season, do it all over again, and have another roller coaster emotional ride. This has been such a great season, guys. I'm really thankful. I can't even state it enough how fortunate it is to be here alongside Saiyan to bring you these great games. And hopefully we'll be here for many years to come to keep doing so.
All right, guys. I know it's late for a lot of you. I know Xun's got to get to bed. I'm dragging this out way longer than I should, but I'm going to end it here. Thanks for watching. Good night. Much love. See you next time.